everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular commission meeting this Tuesday, July 8th. If the clerk would please call the roll.
Commissioner Margaret.
Here.
Vice Mayor Long.
Here.
Commissioner Cassetto.
Here.
Deputy Vice Mayor Burns.
Here.
Mayor Corning.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. If you could all rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. You can be seated. We need an agenda approval, so are there any deletions, additions, subtractions?
I have none.
None? Anyone?
Motion to approve.
Then I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved unanimously. We have presentations. The first is the 2025 All-America City Finalist Recognition. Vice Mayor Long, you're up.
Yeah, so I didn't write a speech for this because I wanted to sort of speak from the heart, but I do want to recognize some folks that are here tonight. So I had the privilege to join a really dedicated, passionate team of individuals in Denver the weekend before last to present among just 20 finalists nationwide out of hundreds. Delray Beach was a finalist for the All-American City Award, which is put on by the National Civic League. It was an incredible honor. We were there competing against cities like Austin, Memphis, like big cities, like cities of all sizes that had incredible stories. And I want to recognize the team who participated in this because they spent a lot of time and put a lot of dedication behind the effort to create a really strong, passionate story and narrative about Delray Beach. And a lot of it was their own free time. And that includes our staff, but also a lot of community partners were involved as well, people that really are symbolic of what makes our city amazing. And we all got to bond on this trip, and we rehearsed a lot together. We had a lot of fun. Terrence rolled in at the last minute, didn't even put his bags in the room minutes before the presentation and went up with us. And he did a really great job. He really
called an entrance.
He got us. Yeah, he really was. He really helped get us amped up. And then during the Q&A part, he really came in and saved the day on that a couple times. But I want to just quickly acknowledge all the folks who were part of the team. And we got this, spoiler alert, we were not chosen to be a winner of the award again, but we were finalists out of hundreds of people.
Hundreds of cities,
I'm sorry. But we did get this cool finalist plaque. So I want to go over everyone who had participated and get a quick picture with everyone that was part of this amazing
team. You want to
team.
recognize them now? Or
If you don't mind, I'll just read out their names real quick. First of all, Janai Bowens was our fearless leader throughout this process. Like the amount of coordination from start to finish. I mean, just from the application and all the research and studying previous winners and just this in-depth analysis, and then to get everyone together and do these rehearsals. So, as everyone knows, Janai is our Education and External Opportunities Manager for the City of Delray Beach. So, Jeff Orris was a huge part of this, too, our Assistant City Manager. He was a huge part of this. He was at all the rehearsals that I was at, which was like a quarter of them. And so he's probably at a lot more. Huge part of the presentation. We had Terrence, as I mentioned, who rolled in at the last minute and actually added a lot to our presentation. His poor wife was waiting in the lobby, not even signed into the room yet while he presented with us. Winnie Edwards, the executive director of the Delray Beach Historic Society. Now, Whitney said she'd probably cry during the presentation, but she held it together, but really had an awesome, awesome presentation. It was really part of the team that was super important. We had Chris Chittister, our Officer of Sustainability, who did an awesome job. The theme of the award this year was sustainability. So Chris had a really important part of it, and I know he was deeply involved from the onset of this whole thing, from application to the presentation, where he killed it. Really strong on the Q&A part, too. We have Alicia Pittman from Community Greening. So really, really thankful to have a representative from Community Greening there to talk about our tree canopy and all the programs that we do with our youth. It was really amazing. So big thanks to Alicia. we had Shelley Zaks, the co-founder of the Delray Beach Children's Garden, the only person who effectively memorized all their lines. For the rest of us had it written on the back of these like posters that we were holding, and we were just like slyly. Shelley remembered all of hers, and she had really complicated ones. Absolutely crushed it. Really appreciate you being there. And Danica Sandborn, the executive director of the Sandway Discovery Center, also an incredible addition to the team. Really got to talk about all the things that Sandway does, all the programs with kids, and really flex that we're this amazing beach town that operates things out of historic homes. It was really brought that point that we are a city that values sustainability. I want to thank Gina Carter, who was not in Denver with us, but put in a ton of work on the earlier parts of this project. I want to thank Ditmar, who is our digital media supervisor with the city, who not only made an awesome video, which was part of the presentation, but he filmed and took pictures, like really good pictures of us throughout the whole thing. So thank you for the solid pictures that I could put on my Facebook. I want to thank Christine Tibbs, who's with the CRA, who was able to talk about workforce housing and economic sustainability. Did an awesome job during the presentation. I forgot to mention, Christine and Danica's kids were there, and they were also part of the presentation. They kind of slid in at the end and did like a little cheer on the way out. It was awesome. We thought that was going to definitely win it for us, but apparently wasn't quite enough. I'll be quick here. Danielle Beardsley, who really helped us in the earlier parts of this project. Danielle Pearson, who also helped us in the earlier parts of the project. Nathalie Espinoza and Amy Hansen. All these are our Parks and Rec folks. So thank you to everyone who was involved. Sorry that took a minute, but I want to make sure everyone who put in time on this was recognized, because it was a tremendous honor to be one of these 20 finalists and be recognized among all these awesome cities. Just speaks to the passion and dedication of so many people in our town. So I'd love to get a quick photo with this cool finalist plaque and all the folks who made it out tonight as part of the team.
Why don't you all come up to the? Do you want us all in the picture?
10 cities. Yeah. Like
You want-
out of the 20.
Standing from behind.
Yeah, we're gonna stand behind you, heroes, because we're part of the city too. I mean, legendary. I mean, we got parking spaces.
We're going to stay back.
Skip Meyer again, he's gonna take a picture. In the front?
You want to do it over here? Let's do it over here. So we can get the.
You're just gonna stand up behind. We'll just stand up behind them then.
That's what we were thinking.
Oh, good.
It's easier for us. Hi, Winnie. Good job, and you didn't cry.
Come and sit in the.
Winnie.
That's the appearance of impropriety, correct? Great. Thank you all very much. And listen, it's a well-deserved, because I mean, even making it to the finals with all of the competition we had was a great achievement, and we have a lot to be proud of. And I want to thank everyone that was, directly and indirectly responsible for it. We now have Anthea, who's going to give us a presentation of the Live Local Act and brief us on what's going on there on South Congress Avenue.
everyone. So this is not an action item. This is just an update. In the last legislative session, there were more changes to the Live Local Act. This was an effort, a rather heavy-handed effort by Tallahassee to foster more workforce housing within the state. Standing by that.
No, I'm just saying rather heavy-handed. I said, you think?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So ultimately, what the program does is it preempts local land use and zoning regulations for projects that meet the Live Local criteria. It basically expands the residential development that is rental, that includes at least 40% as workforce housing. And if you meet those criteria, you're eligible to basically build it anywhere with the highest density that the municipality offers without incentives. So there were a couple of refinements in the last session. There were changes to prevent Live Local from being applied on historic structures or districts, but they were districts that had to be established prior to 2000. Our districts are largely established after. That doesn't, for us as Delray Beach, that's, not reflective of the parts of the city that we have determined are important to maintain, and it's a very small percentage of the city, so that's disappointing. It does allow for a required reduction in parking if the development is is within a quarter mile or a 5-minute walk of a transit stop. I have to apply a 15% parking reduction. And again, the previous application of Live Local, which was somewhat limited to commercial and industrial parcels, was expanded to include mixed-use parcels and planned unit development. And it does allow for the inclusion of workforce housing and development on church properties, church or place of worship properties. So some of these are creative ideas, but for our city where we have very little industrial land use, there were some concerns with the first round. So we are required to authorize. These are administrative approvals if there's no waivers. The 15% parking reduction is administrative, and the site plan approval itself, regardless of the size, the density, the height, is administrative if it meets the Live Local, which is part of why I'm doing this, because I'm going to show you the one project we have and the website where you can keep an eye on any others that come in. So again, they are required to be affordable rentals. The affordability would be tracked by our local system, and there would be a required deed restriction to make sure that it happens, because that's how we do it. So we would fall back on our regular workforce housing regulations. The problem that we had under the previous version is it said for industrial or commercial properties, at least 65% of the total square footage had to be residential. And our problem was, well, how much industrial can I require that they have? And it was like 99-1. There was no cap. And so there is an improvement under the current regulations that I'm hoping I have a slide on. I'm trying to remember. That if you have less than a certain percentage of your city that accommodates industrial, you can require 10%. So it got a little bit better, but it didn't say like you don't have to authorize them there, which would have been more desirable. Okay, so we are required to authorize Live Local development in any area that is zoned for commercial, industrial, or mixed use. Mixed use basically opens up pretty much every zoning district that allows commercial. You are required to offer the highest density allowed in the city that is not within an incentive or a bonus program. So in our city, we use a lot of, the base density is 30 dwelling units per acre, but you can build to, 40 if you do X, Y, and Z. No, it's what is the highest base density you offer exclusive of incentives. So for our city, that's our MROC district, which is along Congress. It's 40 units per acre. You have to allow the highest height that the city offers within 1 mile of the site, or 3 stories, whichever is more. This gives you a little glimpse of like the area of the state that must have been drafting this because they thought 3 stories was tall. So again, for our city, that's MROC, which allows 80 feet, and then but you may not get 80 feet because it depends on how far away you are from MROC. And then there are new provisions if you are joining single-family areas to like aid in transition. So that was also a good change. You have to authorize not the highest FAR, but 150% of the highest FAR you offer. So downtown has a 3 FAR, so that changes to a 4.5. So the big change was that, there it is, when a municipality has less than 20% of its land uses, its land use map, is how I'm interpreting this, to be commercial or industrial, then now you can say that you have to include a commercial or industrial use, and we are requiring that happen. The problem is that we have, and the act was pretty clear, I think, on this, that these are the new law. The law that was in place last year still exists. So applications that were submitted last year can travel under the old or the new. They don't get to cherry pick and put them all together into one big bundle. So a lot of this, these tweaking doesn't really apply to the one project that we have right now. But moving forward, so this is a better version. Again, there are no boards. There is no commission review. It will not appear on the appealable report. So we have also had to expand what are the regulations you follow since they opened it up to the mixed-use district. As most of you know, downtown has a form-based code. It's rather unique. It's an award-winning form-based code. So we've updated our website to explain which set of rules you use based on where you want to do live local. If you're coming into the downtown, you're going to use the CBD code. Everywhere else, you're using the RM zoning district, which is what live local puts you down to. Use your multifamily district if you're building multifamily. So we're working on that. This is the project that is in. It's at 2101 South Congress Avenue. It's as far as multifamily projects go, it's a nice project. It's just sitting on industrial land use, which has long-term tax implications, which we did not, support. But here we are. So this is the parcel. It's over 12 acres. The land use is industrial. The zoning is industrial. It was a concrete batch plant. Has a small office. There is a 430-foot tall antenna that will remain. There's a digital billboard that will be removed and will not be replaced. The proposal is for 386 units. 156 of those will be limited to workforce, the 80 to 100% or 120 AMI. And there's a small amount, 1,784 square feet of industrial use that will be accommodated in the project. It's a mix of unit sizes, so everything from studios to 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. And there's an equal sort of mix of the workforce amount that will be offered. This is the tower, the circle around it. Sometimes we're planning for the worst possible outcome is if it fell down, that that there's enough clear zone that it's not going to land on one of the buildings. It's not going to fall down, but just in case, no one's in the fall zone. Again, because industrial didn't really anticipate this. The biggest concern that we have, the sort of final concern that we have, they have received their approval for the transportation review by the county. Congress is a county road, so they review them for transportation impacts. And the biggest concern that we have is that there's only one point of entry currently proposed to this development, which they have 2 openings, but there's a stacking distance. The county stacking distance apparently is different than ours. However, there's 2 exit points. In my opinion, it needs to function both ways and both entries, and we are still meeting and working with the applicant for these things, and we'll be reaching out to the county to determine what exactly was their requirement and how can we accommodate this. To make sure that there's a way for traffic to just disperse when it's this many units. We do have a website if anybody's interested in tracking the Live Local Act and the requirements. It's on the Development Services webpage, and there is a under current planning, which is new development. Long range is more, we're planning for LDRs and ordinances and things like that, but current planning is where you're going to see the actual building projects that are coming into the city. There's a Live Local Act page, and if you go to that, if you're a developer and you want to understand what our rules are, that tells you what our rules are. If you are a resident or a business owner and you want to see what's coming in around you, that's where we're posting the projects. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chinotis. Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Casal?
No, I'll just probably comment more than question. I met the applicants and they're lovely, local, and we appreciate that. But I don't like the Live Local, as you know, the ability to just lose our land use, commercial and industrial. It's very concerning to our burden on our residential tax space in the long term. But also, slight improvements, yeah, but still at the 8120 AMI. AMI is now up to 111,800 a year, according to the Palm Beach website. So that puts applicants making $89,400 to, whatever, $111,000 qualified. What we need here is something way less to accommodate the individuals in our city that are really in need of housing. I mean, we have a high number of low-paying jobs here, and this will bring new people in, but it doesn't, and it'll push the people that are here out, and it doesn't work for us. And I wish we could figure out a way to ask our lobbyists, I know I brought this up before, to talk about when a city's at build out, and I know there are some variations depending on the individual cities, but also what the city's financial, what the needs are for the residents should be considered in this, because we should embrace this and we should want this, but we don't, because it's not serving us. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Commissioner Burns?
Yep. Gosh, I'm going to say, repeat some of the same things that Commissioner Casal said. I'm just concerned about this AMI, the 80% to 120. It really does not serve our residents. And as she said, new residents, yes, but the residents that we have, the hundreds of students that I've taught that have gone off that are professional salary, this still doesn't cut it for them. But thank you for the presentation and the update.
Commissioner Markert?
Yeah, I just would echo what Angela and Julie said. I mean, this doesn't really suit us. I mean, I'm glad we're making some headway on Live Local. It's definitely an issue, but the parameters that surround this and the loss of tax revenue makes this not all that great for our city.
Commissioner Long?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have an issue with the project necessarily. Does it address like our real affordable housing issues? Not really, but it does address folks that are in that middle income area, like more the workforce. It's more like workforce housing is what this really is for this project, which is a big need in our city. Really is. Like, there's nowhere for our service industry workers or like our staff that works here or our first responders or our teachers to live. So this does help with that. But I stand with my colleagues in regard to just not liking any sort of preemptions that infringe on our ability to govern our city, that infringe on our home rule. And so I'm not a fan of Live Local. I don't think really many municipalities are, frankly, but it is what it is. But anyway, thanks for the great presentation, Anthea.
I echo what my colleagues have said. I mean, you've done a great work here in trying to maneuver through this process, which nobody really, all of us got, in one way or another, got elected up here because we support the look, the feel, the charm, et cetera, of Delray Beach, and have to have the legislature say, all that work you did on your zoning, your design, well, we don't care. So, but it's a good-looking project. I'm not going to say it's not a good-looking project. I'm happy that it's going to bring in workforce housing. I just share the view that we're a very small town, and while this Live Local may work with towns with a lot more space and land available, we don't have a lot of land available, and to lose any of it is. And I appreciate there's going to be a new tax base there, and that's going to be great, but I think it's unfortunate that it gets imposed on you as opposed to everybody embracing it, saying, "Isn't this a great idea?" But it's a good-looking project, no doubt. Thank you very much. Okay, we have comments and inquiries on agenda and non-agenda items for the public. So first, we have the city manager. We're going to be discussing the time and attendance implementation. And then, or that will actually be,
That would be, I'll kick it off.
okay, you kick it off with Mr. Daco. Okay.
Thank you. So I've actually asked core members of the team in relationship to time and attendance implementation. The city of Delray Beach over the past couple of years has been extremely productive and forthright executing this particular initiative, where pretty much all departments of municipal operations are squared away in this regard via the UKG implementation, having been part of daily operations since 2023 into 2024. There does remain work associated with both police and fire rescue departments simply because they operate via a telestaff platform for purposes of time and attendance. And we recently had an opportunity to talk a little bit about progress having been made. This was generated via the CBIZ presentation of the most recent external audit relative to us updating the state of Florida regarding progress made in this regard. So during a June 3rd meeting, it was actually Commissioner Casal who expressed an interest in having an update. And given that the interest was expressed publicly during that meeting, I thought it'd be appropriate that we follow up in public here today, July 8th, regular meeting. So core members of the team working with external resources to get ourselves squared away include Chief Technology Officer Jay Stacy, as well as Chief Financial Officer Henry Dakowitz. Of course, they work closely with leadership of both the Delray Beach Police Department and the Delray Beach Fire Rescue Department to get us to where we need to be. So your dialogue will be fairly brief, yet meaningful in terms of providing a cogent update in terms of why we are where we are and what we hope to accomplish as a result. Mr. Dakowitz, you've just taken the mic before Jay Stacy did, so I'll turn it over to you first.
Thank you. Commissioners, this is an important project, and we have most of the city already transitioned to UKG. UKG is a timekeeping system, so I view it as a front end to a payroll processing system. So the part of the process is we had a very manual intensive process historically. Just automating makes it better. We have time clocks where people punch in and out. So instead of being on an honor system, we're paying people based on their actual hours worked. There is a lot of complexity because of the contracts with the police and fire department, how to calculate overtime, making sure rules are coordinated between the contract agreements and, let's say, FLSA. So we're in sort of a quality control mode, and we're working forward to implementation closely with the police and fire chiefs, and we're looking at completion in a number of months coming forward. Obviously, we've coordinated with, normally a payroll system is HR and finance. Obviously here we're working with IT, the payroll department, police and fire departments, as well as the external software vendors.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a few comments for the major delay in moving police and fire forward. It definitely was not any reluctance on police and fire. They've been chomping at the bit to get this in. But they're unique because they're using the telestaff system, as Mr. Dakowitz said, and they use that for scheduling. They use it for requesting time off, sometimes in a year in advance. And the time and attendance system kind of does the same thing. So we wanted to be able to take that data that is in the telestaff and have it imported into the time and attendance so employees don't have to do dual entries. And that's such a common approach that the time and attendance company, Kronos, bought the telestaff company. So this seemed like a great marriage of the two systems, and we were going to be able to move forward. But in that purchase, Kronos mandated that all the telestaff users would have to move to the cloud. We were prepared to do that. We want to move to the cloud. But there was a glitch. Their Kronos cloud got hacked, and they were subject to ransomware. So we didn't want to move into the cloud just then. It took them over a year to migrate their Kronos Cloud to the Google Cloud, which was much more secure. So we were really able just to start beginning to upgrade the telestaff just in the beginning of this year. So that was really the major delay for why it was behind the rest of the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for anyone from the commission?
I would just say thank you. I didn't know there was a delay. I did inquire because, as you may recall, we started this process. I think I asked for the audit of the time and attendance practice back in 2020. We found there were some issues, and you began implementing, and I appreciate that. And I think you even got an award for this work. Is that correct? What was that
Top 10
award?
Digital City, this was part of our big win for the Top 10 Digital City Award. Yeah.
Congratulations and thank you.
By the way, that's for 2 consecutive years, fall 2023 to fall 2024. So our efforts to achieve with UKG time and attendance implementation was a hallmark criteria for us being able to make this recognition. So we're very proud of that as well. But again, Police Department, Fire Rescue Department, coach an update in terms of where we are, and thus we will be
Thank
whole.
you. And I do appreciate you. You've been an amazing asset to our city since you came, and both of you. And I would like at some point, if we could compare the data once we're fully online and know what the difference maybe is in the years on the payroll, just to see what effect it has had, because we're kind of, our employee levels are more or less the same, pay has increased, but be interesting to see if we could, how this is serving us. Thank you again, gentlemen. I appreciate you.
Thank you both very much.
So one remaining item, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, is protocols regarding Florida Department of Transportation project implementation. This is really in response to residents. I've been contacted, I believe some of you all have as well, relative to infrastructure improvements being implemented by the Florida Department of Transportation, specific expectations on part of the city to do what we can to manage their scheduling, their contractual services, etc. For the record, therefore, the city of Delray Beach, for those concerned, has no authority whatsoever relative to the Florida Department of Transportation or any other jurisdiction outside the city of Delray Beach relative to infrastructure improvements. We do what we can to coordinate with them, to engage and collect information and data from them so that we can best inform residents of any updates or inconveniences that may be caused as a result. But in terms of expectations relative to their scheduling, making adjustments within their right-of-way areas, the thoroughfares in which they support, the city of Delray Beach has no authority in that regard. Nevertheless, the Office of the City Manager, the Department of Public Works, and others, we all do what we possibly can to coordinate and engage with them as effectively as possible. Nevertheless, sometimes the answer is actually no, because they do what they can, frankly, to operate at the middle of the night when traffic impacts are minimal. They think about those logistics in terms of preparing infrastructure improvements or other enhancements that may be offered during any given approach. And we are informed to that effect, but I would therefore ask the residents and anybody else concerned, stakeholders, to understand that quite clearly. And we do the best that we can. Nevertheless, we have no authority or jurisdiction to offer specific direction, scheduling, guidance, etc. So at this time, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, I yield. Commissioner Casal, you're laughing at me again.
No, I'm just laughing.
Thank you very much. It's now time for public comment. So anyone wishing to speak on any matter of the agenda or non-agenda items, now's the time to get up, come to the lectern. You'll each have 3 minutes. Give your name and address for the record. Thank you those who were at the other meeting that wanted to speak and held off till now. So, there's no particular, you just queue up right there and make sure you sign in, though.
Do you call?
No, we don't call you. This is not like the county where you spit your name. You just get into line and give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
All right, good enough. It's been a while. My name is Michael Gormley. I live at 656 First Street, Atlantic Crossings. My girlfriend and I moved down here 2 years ago from New York. And after researching all over Florida, this is what we found to be the perfect place. I call it the Goldilocks zone. You guys do a terrific job. The city is well managed. You've sustained like a very cool feel while letting it grow somewhat without letting it get out of hand. I was on a zoning board up in New York as a builder and a musician, but building is what paid the bills. And I did some huge houses, 7,000 square foot houses. I needed variances, and the town was so happy they asked me to be on a zoning board. So I know when I walk around every night till 1 o'clock in the morning because I'm still on my musician schedule. And what I see that's going on, it's contained, but it's done in a good way. So I have, we love living here, my girlfriend and I. I just made a couple of points here to myself. After moving here from New York, up in New York, I was very involved with the police department, charities. I had a daughter who had cancer when she was young, and there was a charity called the Katie McBride Foundation that the New York Pipes and Drums played at, and I'm a musician, so I brought people from a band called The Who from London over to play with us, and I became friends with a lot of the cops. And when I was younger, I was usually like a kid who was drinking beer being chased by the cops, but these guys were okay. They were nice guys, and they were doing a good job. I've heard recently there's been some cuts to the police here. I see them at night because I'm out walking till 1 o'clock, and I feel safe. I mean, I'm a guy, I'm, fairly big, and I'm really, I don't walk in any, unsafe areas necessarily. But the city, I'm down by the beach, I'm all over. It's a great town for walking. So I'm around all the time, and, I've heard that there were some cuts to the police department, and I understand, you've got a budget. I understand that from government, but this is one of the few things that I just think it's, while we're very happy, we're concerned with the safety, it being very important, and with the cuts to the police department could have deleterious ramifications, which, this city's got a great reputation.
Need you to wrap up.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll just finish it up. My son and I always love cars. We love cool cars, and I've always told them the most important thing is, number one, safety, number two, cool. The city is cool, but we need to keep it safe as well.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Mariska Gatto, Cultural Arts Director for the DDA and overseeing the Cornell Art Museum. And I would like to thank Mr. Moore, who came to our exhibition opening on Saturday night, and just want to tell you a little bit about our new exhibition. It's called Pop Culture. We have 10 artists that are featured in this exhibition. The why behind pop culture is something fun for the summer, exciting, very contemporary art. We have a 6-foot Rock'em Sock'em robot. We have all kinds of fun things. Really need to come and see it, if you will. Just wanted to tell you that we have 10 artists. One of them is from Sarasota, who created work specifically for this exhibition after seeing them on Instagram. So that was very interesting. Vargas Sculpture Studio, who is right here in town, was represented with an art piece in that gallery. And Rick Eckert, who is a glass artist, created a piece of a stormtrooper with a surfboard under his arm, all in glass. So very cool. Come and see that. This was in coordination with our Pop 2000 concert that we had outside, which was also an amazing concert. We had almost 1,500 people there for that. And we had over 700 people attend the opening. On average, we're averaging about 500 to 600 people for every opening we do in the museum. So we are...
Great job.
We are killing it. People are loving the museum. They are appreciating the stature of the museum and also the prominence. People appreciate what's happening here. This glass sculpture was created specifically for pop culture, which is wonderful for us. That's the $10,000 sculpture that was made just to show in the exhibition for 3 months. That's pretty exciting, and it's wonderful for our city to have that kind of panache, if you will, and have that availability. The arts and culture, the impact cannot be overlooked. it is huge. We are getting tremendous people into our downtown with everything that we're doing, specifically the museum, because it is sort of the cultural hub of what we're doing. Over the last several exhibitions we've had featured 231 children in a Cape Youth multicultural festival, and the artwork was in the museum for 3 months. Everyone loved coming to see the children's art. So we're representing women, we're representing LGBTQ, all of these groups that are not seen so much in the art world. And for us, it's very important to bring our community together. And pop culture is bringing in children, but young adults, people my age who bought these items for their children, people my parents' age. So it's really kind of bringing everybody together, and it's really important. Our attendance so far in 2025 has doubled from 2024. We're at about 15,000 people that we've seen since January. That's tremendous, really good. All in all, it's been great, and I would love to see you in the museum.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name's Rhett Talbot, 515 Northwest 12th Street. I'm coming before you tonight simply as a matter of introduction. I applied for city advisory boards last year, and rather than trying to track each of you down individually or by email, city staff recommended I simply come before you, and so you could see that I had 2 eyes and 2 hands and could put words together. I have served on Site Plan Review and Appearance Board in the past. I'm interested in serving there again if an opening occurs. I was on SPRAB in the early 90s, and now I have a little bit more time available that I can devote to civic duty. And so I just wanted to let everybody see me, and if my application comes before you, would know who it is. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Talbot.
Hello, I'm Melissa Morales, milkman. I live in Lake Ida with my family. Recently, we've had 4 cars, almost 5, stolen directly out of our driveway, 2 of which we personally recovered ourselves. 2 weeks ago was when the last car was stolen, February 17th. That was the one before that, and that equates to almost about $500,000 in losses since we've lived in Delray. The car was locked, no keys in the vehicle. We have been given nothing more than a police report. I truly feel my family is being targeted. The auto theft detective just quit. I know that the police department is down 23 officers since the beginning of this year, 11 more officers to leave the end of this month, and more coming in October. 29 other cars were stolen in Delray within the last 3 months. The police are clearly understaffed and have very little resources right now. I have 2 young children, 4 and 1 years old. What is going to stop these criminals from doing worse other than stealing our cars? When they know they can get away with coming directly up to our house, up to our kids' windows, and driving off. I have never in my life felt the need to have my house gated and potentially buy a firearm, but that's how I feel I have to keep my family safe here, living in Lake Ida. We live in a nice neighborhood. Why is our safety not being prioritized? That is all. I'm done.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Kelly Ames. I'm at 602 Northwest 7th Street. I'm also in Lake Ida and here to support my friend Melissa. I was completely unaware that this kind of stuff was happening. I lived in Delray for 10 years. I've worked with the DDA for 5 years. I feel pretty ingrained in the community now, and I also have 3 small children. And it's really concerning that this is happening in our own neighborhood. We pay a lot of money to live in this area, so I feel like we should also feel like we feel safe in this area. So to hear that the police force, the staffing is being cut, the funding is being cut, and that people are leaving pretty often, it sounds like, is very concerning. And we've spoken to our friends about this. A lot of them wanted to be here tonight and couldn't be, and I think we'll try to be at other commission meetings to voice their opinion. But I kind of think if this is something that continues and people can't feel safe in this neighborhood, especially families with young kids, will start to look elsewhere, and that will affect the community greatly. Kind of losing all these families that are raising their kids here and hopefully them raising their kids and so on. So I think it's a really important concern that we should be paying attention to.
Thank you very much.
Billy Roach, 1011 Seagate Drive, Delray Beach. I've been here before. I sent an email to you following the last, I don't know if any of you got it. I didn't get a response, but I felt it was necessary to come tonight. So our police chief just resigned, citing a lack of resources to keep us safe amidst mass resignations. I pay substantial property taxes, enough to pay for a full salary of a police officer in Delray Beach for a year. It should matter. Yet basic safety is neglected. Some of you are pushing to raise taxes even higher while we're already burdened by soaring property insurance and flood insurance costs as a way to take care of this. It's unacceptable. The governor's recently proposed eliminating property taxes for full-time residents by tapping into tourism dollars, a smart alternative you should really explore instead of squeezing us further. Our infrastructure in Delray Beach is failing. The bridges are old, they need repair. My water at my house runs yellowish brown. Where's the camera at? Here we go. So everybody can see. That's what comes out of my spigot in my house, and I have purification. It's cast iron pipes that are almost 100 years old, and doesn't matter if the water plant gets replaced. I'm still getting rust water. My daughter can't take a bath. This is what comes out of my spigot. They came out, Delray Beach, said, oh, it's probably on your side. We tested, it looks good. Doesn't look good. You recently voted to keep fluoride in our drinking water. In 2025, despite public and medical professionals' concern, you voted to keep medicating Delray residents through drinking water. It was interesting that one person that's an educator on the panel voted against it. You see the results of students. Even if there's a possibility of it damaging someone neurologically, it shouldn't be put in the water, and you should know that in 2025. With rising taxes, our budget stretched thin, and essential services are suffering. Where's the money going? This city, we see tourism. I mean, I'm here year-round. I'm a homesteader, but there's money coming in. Where's it going? How can you not go to the hotels, all the money that's being put on the barrier island, and how can you not siphon some of that back so you can get clean water, functioning bridges, and a police force? Like, we should have police everywhere. I drive down A1A, Palm Beach, Ocean Ridge, police presence. You come through Delray, we got one guy who's great up there that's leaving soon. The other guy is under investigation for taking funds from evidence I just read in the paper. I mean, this is ridiculous. Leadership scandals erode our trust. Accusations of serious inappropriate conduct up and down from the former city manager, constant investigations and infighting within this commission. Even a member of the commission stated in a newsletter that he highly doubts he can work with this commission. You ran to work with the commission. You ran to serve the residents of Delray Beach. So instead of prioritizing critical needs, I'm just calling for immediate action, an independent audit to track our tax dollars, clear plan to replace aging pipes on the barrier island, proper funding to equip the police. Because if one major accident happens, something happens on Main Street, tourism dollars are gone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roach.
Yep. Do something about it.
My name is Lee Stern, and I'm a property owner in Delray Beach. Everyone is all smiles
address,
in our
please. Address, please.
45 East Road.
Thank you.
Everyone is all smiles in our fantastic city except our police officers. We have a problem to solve, and the problem is a crisis. City officials publishing false rhetoric and making dishonest claims addressed to the Dear Delray Beach residents is not just bad form, it's also dangerous. We, the Dear Delray Beach residents, have never been at greater risk because of a demoralized, slighted, and understaffed municipal police department. Portraying this group of heroes as greedy, opportunistic, and gullible evils is shameful, but it's America and we're all entitled to an opinion. Let's focus on the truth. Public safety is not optional. Delray police officers are currently ranked among the lowest paid with the weakest benefits in Palm Beach County. The DROP program is not a special account. It's a standard in agencies and in all departments in the Florida retirement system, and all offer 8-year DROP programs. The real leaders I spoke about my last visit would embrace the standard of competitiveness and quality. While we're counting each other's money, we're ignoring the actuarial analysis showing PBA's proposal extending the DROP program represents millions in savings over time. Asking an overworked, demoralized, and insulted law enforcement team to do more without proper compensation is unreasonable. By the numbers, since January of 2025, 16 officers have left for PBSO, 5 more opted out of law enforcement, 4 officers have retired, and 10 more will be taken by PBSO by the 28th of July. And the shame and the disgrace of it all is none of them wanted to leave. You left them with no choice. I have heard the decisions that have gotten us into this trouble described as business decisions. I live in the rarest of air in the world of business, in private equity, and these are not rational business decisions. If we can't count on you in good faith to end this crisis, then what is your currency? If you're unwilling to pay for our safety, what is your currency? If you are unwilling or incapable of leading us through a negotiation, what is your currency? If you only believe in your own equity, what is your currency? If you go along to get along, what is your currency? If you're not a leader, what is your currency? You will never get to the end of this negotiation without your leadership. Appreciate you're dealing with police officers that by nature are high achievers, and high achievers don't like average people. And the converse is true. Average people don't like high achievers for obvious reasons. So, leaders of Delray, who are we? Who are you? As a citizen of Delray, I want this negotiation to end immediately with equity for the officers. Feeling taken advantage of is dangerous for all of us. It's in your power to join the police department's men and women and label yourself by example a friend, a brother, a sister, a partner, a high-achieving leader worthy of your post. Understand, a presentation without a demonstration is just a conversation. It's time to stop talking and make a deal. Demonstrate loyalty and commitment to this team of officers, and they will repay you with a far greater currency than the one that you satisfied them with.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hello, my name is Rich Lucas. I live at 1109 Vista Del Mar in Delray Beach. A couple of weeks ago, I was at a budget meeting. I came in late, and I sat there, and I saw some guy actually get up during the meeting and address you people and said to you people, if you can't afford the taxes in Delray, you should move. And you know what? You four of you five commissioners just stared at him like, I hope you don't agree with him, but that's what he said. The only one who spoke out against them was the mayor. Commissioner Long, I respect you a lot because you are straightforward. I always know where you stand. There's never been a spending bill or a tax increase that you've been against, but that's consistency.
You're not supposed to individually direct comments to an individual commissioner.
Okay. That's going to make this a little difficult, but I understand.
It's just the rule.
Pardon me?
It's just the rule.
I get it.
Please continue, Mr.
I saw
Lucas.
some of the commissioners on the campaign trail 2 years ago. Never heard one word from anyone about tax increases. I'm not pinpointing anyone, just never any word about tax increases. There talks about tight budgets. Can I pay a compliment to someone?
I don't know.
I want to pay a compliment to Commissioner Burns. I have two professional daughters. I hope
picked someone that I couldn't fight with. Good.
As dignified and distinguished in their job as that you hold. One thing that upsets me the most is what people say. They always talk staff. Staff is not your constituency. Your constituency are the voters who pay the taxes. We all want to have happy staff, but when the budget explodes with all these people being hired, I just don't know why you don't talk about. I think I represent the majority of voters here in Delray Beach who are against the tax increases. This is a small slice of Delray Beach, but there's a whole world out there that the reason someone got elected by a landslide as mayor last time, because every time he campaigned, he talked about tax cuts. Commissioner Burns has taken the right approach. She knows what the marketplace is. I hope the other ones, learn what the marketplace is also. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tiny comment since I was referenced. I did vote for a decrease in millage in 2024, and I was in favor. In 2023, and I was in favor of a decreased millage in 2024. I just wasn't in favor of a rollback rate. So both times I voted on taxes have been for decreased millage. Just want to put that on the record. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's Marjorie Waldo from Arts Garage. I wanted to tell you that on November 19th, as the first speaker in the public comment section of your city commission meeting, I told you all that I love you. And I do. That was November 19th. You can write it down. You can write it down tonight, too, July 8th. That night, you came to consensus that you would continue arts and culture funding as you took over the A-Guide grant funding from the CRA. In a time in the world when Arts Garage and other arts and culture organizations are fighting for every dollar, your forward-thinking decision to do that and your recognition of the impact of arts and culture on our community as an economic driver and a creative force for everyone in Delray Beach was admirable. I know that budget season is miserable. It's miserable. But I wanted to point out that the portion of funding for Arts Garage only is 0.0008% of your total budget, while it is 13% of my total budget. As you finalize your numbers, I urge you to continue your support of arts and culture in Delray Beach. I love you. And good night.
Thank you very much. We love you too, if I can say that. I already did, as our educator pointed out. Sorry, son.
Hi, Michelle Dadich, 23 Southwest 6th Street. I just wanted to introduce myself for some of you that don't know, since my name's up also for a couple of boards. Just tell a little bit about myself. I've served on the Affordable Housing Board for the last 2 years. I also served for about 2 years on the Volunteer Police Department because they could always use our help in positive ways, right? For myself personally, I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker Downtown. I'm also a commercial loan officer. I have a FDOT license. I also have a CAM license. I also own a cab company. I also own PBC Rescue, which helps people to not lose their home due to delinquent property taxes. I provide some free resources to help, people who are not so privileged to afford the housing here in Delray. Also, in the last year, I formed a company called PBC Consultants, which actually it uses my CAM license and helps to provide some assistance, helping meeting compliance and safety for our residential buildings here in Palm Beach County. I worked with the fire department, fire marshal for Palm Beach County to try to help some of the buildings that didn't meet the requirements for the new laws that had recently get changed, the milestone. And that's it. Just wanted to introduce myself and for someone who didn't know me. So I think everyone's doing a great job. I know there probably can be, some help in some other areas. As long as we all keep working together productively, I think that's how we get further ahead. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
The shirt.
I did. Laura Simon with the Downtown Development Authority and also native of Delray Beach. And first of all, I wanted to congratulate the city, everyone in the city, at city staff and city leaders for their finalist in the All-America City for the potentially 4th time. I also brought something from my father's closet, Roy Simon, when in 1993, when we won the first All-America City Award. They put I'm gonna give this to Winnie for the archives. So it's the actual newspaper article on the front of the with pictures of my father and other Leon Weeks and others that were leading the effort for the award. So congratulations, it's a huge effort and we should all be very proud. But with that, there are a lot of things, obviously there's a lot of tension in the air about our community in the midst of the greatness that we have here as a resort beach town. Almost, it's over, 100 plus years, almost 115 years old, that we need to take care of. And development still continues. Our organization is the Downtown Development Authorities, heavily involved in that and continues to be a resource and a driver for over almost 55 years now, and continue to work hard and diligently for our community and our stakeholders and our residents and those that love and invest and raise their children here. And we need to continue to do that. So I was just here really to just share, and I'm very proud of the work that our team is doing on behalf of the city at Old School Square, and echo Marjorie Waldo's sentiments around continuing to invest in the arts and culture in our community. I sat on the tourism master plan for the county for Discover Palm Beaches, and the tourism board was there a couple weeks ago. And number 2 on their master plan is the arts and culture as a tourism driver for Palm Beach County. So it needs to be continued to be invested in. And our downtown is a art and culture community, a vibrant community, and we have great brand new openings. We have 2 brand new stores opening up this week on Atlantic Avenue, in the 300 block of East Atlantic Avenue. Huck, which is a national brand. It is a active fishing and swimwear and gear. So those that know, it's generally in like larger department stores, but it is on Atlantic Avenue along with Free People. Both are opening this weekend. Huge for us as a community. I know not everybody was really happy about national brands coming into our downtown. However, they bring a very strong customer base for us and really continue to help us elevate and grow, but also need that attention by our team. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, public comment is closed. We now have to approve the consent agenda.
So
I need a
moved.
motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Need a second?
We got a
Oh,
second.
a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. We're now on items 7A and 7B, both of which are quasi-judicial hearings. I'm going to read the quasi-judicial rules. Then I am going to turn the gavel over to the vice mayor to handle 7A because under, I forgot the statute, 298 or 268 or 286 or whatever the statute is for potential conflict of interest. And so so I need to do that. But let me read the quasi-judicial rules first, and then you won't have to do it, but you'll have to do the portion of ex parte conversations and all that. So I'm just going to read the first part. These hearings on 7A and 7B shall be conducted in accordance with the quasi-judicial rules. The applicant and the city will each be allowed 15 minutes to present their case. The public shall be allowed to speak for 3 minutes each, or a maximum of 6 minutes if the person represents an organization or group of people who are present but agree not to speak. The city commission and staff and the applicant may be allowed to cross-examine a witness. The city or the applicant will be allowed to offer rebuttal testimony. The decision to approve or deny an application or appeal may not be legally made upon personal views as to whether a project is a good project or not, nor may a decision be based on the numbers of citizens who support or oppose a particular project. The law requires that all decisions must be made on the basis of whether the project meets the requirements of law, the comprehensive plan, and the land development regulations. If there are any people here that wish to speak on items 7A and 7B, if you could please stand and be sworn by the clerk.
By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, I am now leaving the chamber. I'm turning this over. Do you want the gavel? I mean,
Do I?
You can.
Is this like Elvis?
It's like Elvis is leaving the auditorium, correct. And I'm going to have another cup of coffee, which I need desperately.
Just for reference, it's 286.012.
Thank you so much. I knew it was there somewhere.
All right, I think we'll start with ex parte communication. Does anyone have anything to disclose?
Whatever's on the server, and some time ago when this, was before us for those waivers, but nothing recently.
Same.
Yeah, same here. I was friends with the late Sonny Van Arnhem. I had the privilege of being friends with Sonny. I don't think I've spoken about it since it came through last time for approval. So, all right. I think we're ready for the presentation then.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, commissioners.
Sorry.
Thank you, staff.
Just a point of order. I'm sorry. I'd like to enter the file into the record.
My mistake.
That's
Sorry.
okay. Just
Please enter the
hold
file.
on. You're gonna.
My mistake.
Anthea Giannotis, Development Services Director, and I'd like to enter file 2023-196 into the record, and the applicant is here with the presentation of the request.
Thank you very much. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, staff. Thank you, general public. Good evening. My name is John Kinsman from V8B Group, representing the developer for the project. We are seeking tonight site plan application level 4 approval from the City Commission for our project, the Maxwell, located at 306 Northeast 2nd Street. As part of the approval, we are requesting that the site is allowed to function without an off-street loading space, and also we are requesting a reduction in the northern parking lot landscape strip. The site comprises 2 separate unified title south and north lots, bifurcated by Northeast 2nd Street, totaling approximately 0.86 acres or 37,283 square feet. in the central business district of Delray Beach. There's an existing two-story commercial building on the site, on the south lot, with 22 individual retail suites, and the north lot is a 48-space parking lot. Our proposal is basically to construct a new 4-story building on the south lot with 23 1 to 3 bedroom units, residential units, and 2,651 square feet of retail space, 878 square feet of civic open space on the northeast corner of the property, and a rooftop deck with gym, pool, and dog walking station. The north lots will contain 47 parking spaces with an access-controlled gate.
Could I interrupt for a moment? Was the resolution title read in? I went and got water, and I know that the quasi-judicial rules were read by the mayor, but was the actual title 7A read in resolution number 128-25? Would you mind? Thank you.
Boy, a procedural error on my part. My bad, I'm a rookie at this.
Our amazing clerk is supporting us.
Good catch, Commissioner. Sorry about that. To interrupt your presentation.
No
My
problem.
apologies.
No problem. We all good?
2825.
Read
Okay,
it
a
into-
resolution of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, approving a level 4 site plan, architectural elevations, and landscape plan, and approving a waiver to section 4.6.16H3A of the Land Development Regulations to reduce the required 5-foot landscape strip between off-street parking or other vehicular use areas and adjacent public rights-of-way to a range between 0 feet and 4 feet 4 inches for the project known as the Maxwell, located at 306 Northeast 2nd Street, as more particularly described herein, providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
All right, back to you.
Thank you. Do you guys want me to start again, or you guys?
Whatever makes you comfortable.
I can ask you questions and see if you're up to speed with me. Just kidding. I can carry on. So we're proposing a new 4-story building on the south lot with 23 1 to 3 bedroom residential units and 2,651 square feet of retail space, 878 square feet of civic open space on the northeast corner of the property, and a rooftop deck with gym, pool, and dog walking station. The north lots will contain 47 parking spaces with an access-controlled gate on either end, and the remaining 3 required parking spaces will be created on Northeast 2nd Street. The access control gate will be open during regular business hours, and then it will be closed at night time for security in the parking lot. The building, for context, has Ocean City Lofts to the east and the south, and the rail tracks to the west. I'm just going to hand it over to our architect on record, Peggy from Netter Architects. She's going to explain or go through the elevated Art Deco style that we are proposing.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. I am Peggy Fitzgerald from Netter Architects. So the Maxwell is a unique mixed-use development due to its site configuration, as you saw. And although the parcel where the building is situated is limited, the site design includes a generous civic space, including the building entrance, water feature, landscaping, and seating, which engages the corner intersection of Northeast 2nd and Northeast 4th. It also connects to a covered arcade, which provides shaded sidewalk in front of the retail spaces on the ground level. These attributes promote pedestrian activity and engagement and adds quality to the public realm. The residential component of the design provides various size condominium units to allow for a diverse population type and creates stability as purchased units as opposed to rental units. So in terms of the design, as you recall, this board, as you mentioned, approved the use of the Art Deco style for this development. As a quick review, the characteristics of the Art Deco style, which have been incorporated in this design, include, let's see if I can always get this. Oh, there we go. flat roofs with ornamental parapets. You'll see a smooth stucco finish with neutral colors and pastels, integrated signage, cantilevered eyebrows, simple geometric stucco reliefs, horizontally streamed metal ornamentation, recessed windows and doors, and the tripartite composition required by Del Rey. So after gaining this approval, we worked with staff to address some of their concerns and some of the comments that came from planning and zoning and this meeting previously. And some of the revisions that were made, on this elevation you can see the curvilinear design here, which has been colored in to accentuate it. And it also, in the slide on the right, continues around to the elevation facing Fourth, which previously had a metal ornamental pattern, which has been removed to create more consistency in the style. This slide shows the building is now predominantly white, and the coloring is used to accentuate the horizontal reliefs as well as the eyebrows up above. The slide on the right, we redesigned the main entrance to the building to include curves along the main corners of the along the main corners of the structure, as well as creating two. Oh man, that's not what I wanted. Sorry about that. Two balconies, as opposed to previously there was a much more monumental sort of blocky entrance. So we've lightened the structure and a lot more curvilinear shapes. I don't know why that dot won't go away. I broke it. For my next trick. So here in some dim form, you can see the whole entire form of the building from various vantage points. Thank you. I can't get rid of the dot. We'll both do it.
I know. I can't get rid of the dot right now either. Yeah.
Go, John.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
Okay, full form of the building. Okay, and then these you can see the three main elevations. The top right from 2nd Street, the bottom right, the rear along Railroad Street, and the left along 4th Avenue. So these revisions really elevate the Art Deco design of the Maxwell, which in turn will elevate the context of the neighborhood and the CBD. And I'll turn it back over to John.
Thank you very much. I'm using the gold one, yes. So just go through. So we have a couple more slides showing the building. And then, as mentioned before, we're asking the Commission to approve our request to allow the site to function without the dedicated off-street loading space. We're proposing using Railroad Street for moving trucks only at specifically designated times. The condo documents will reflect these specific days and times. It will be strictly enforced. The building will be attended, so all smaller Amazon, UPS, USPS deliveries will be accepted only through the lobby on Northeast 2nd Street. All delivery vehicles will utilize Northeast 2nd Street parking if available, or the north parking lot, which has plenty of spaces. Move-in and out times will be minimal, as the units are for sale, not for rental. And the retail spaces will be non-food related, again, to minimize regular high volume deliveries normally associated with food vendors. So we're trying to minimize any kind of disruption on Railroad Street, which is what we're proposing to use as our off-street loading. This graphic shows the new proposed streetscape and the pedestrian experience on Railroad Street and how much room will be available for other road users when a typical 30-foot moving truck is positioned for loading and unloading. The new building will be set back from the Railroad Street right away by about, exactly 11 foot 2 inches to incorporate the new pedestrian experience down Railroad Street. again, this shows how much that's basically the building that's there at the moment, how much of the building is going to be cut away, and the new building is going to start basically on the right-hand yellow vertical line. So a typical 30-foot moving truck can be positioned for loading and unloading on Railroad Street as shown. Let me see if I can do this without breaking it. Thank you, Peggy. There we go. That's showing a 30-foot typical moving truck positioned on Railroad Street. And as you can possibly tell, there's still we think there's plenty of room for other road users to kind of get around. And the same for a 53-foot truck, like an 18-wheeler, which, again, we don't think it's very likely that's going to be positioned back there. It's going to probably difficult to get a large truck down there anyway, as is. But just in case, it can be accommodated down there. Additionally, in addition to basically asking for the relief on the drop-off space, we're asking for a reduction in the landscape strip width at various sections of the north parking lot, the west landscape buffer. The required width is 5 feet, and we are requesting 4.3 feet, 2.3 feet, 1.4 feet, and 0 feet at various sections. The width of the lot is 50 feet, so we are constrained somewhat in the redevelopment of this parcel. The west landscape strip is only facing the 100-foot FEC right away and does not immediately front any residential or commercial areas. And the proposed landscape plan will maintain aesthetically cohesive frontage and minimize disruption along the entire 480-foot length whilst upholding the intention of the regulation. This is our proposed landscape plan. If you want to hear about the landscape plan specifically, we have our landscape architect who's available. And then just to kind of finish off, we basically started earlier than this, but our first real official involvement with the city was in August of 2023 when DSMG confirmed the Railroad Street was going to be a 25-foot right-of-way. They did ask us for an extra dedication, and then they basically said we didn't have to do that. And then in July of 2024, the DDA recommended approval of the project. Thank you, Laura, if she's still here, not too sure. In October 2024, the City Commission, you guys actually approved the Art Deco style, the streetscape reduction waiver, and the front setback waiver and civic space size waivers, which have already been approved. And then most recently, in June of just last month, Planning and Zoning recommended the approval of the landscape strip reduction and the no off-street loading berth requests by unanimous decision. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Now let's hear from city staff. Take us away, Anthea.
Thank you.
It is, yeah.
Okay, I will try not to spend any time duplicating information, just in the interest of time. It is a rather unique site. If you remember, the building is being constructed on the south side of Northeast 2nd, and then the existing parking lot across the street, which will have 47 off-street spaces, is carrying the bulk of the support for the project. So all the building in the civic open space is on one side, and then sort of the parking is on the other in an existing lot. The proposed density is 27 units per acre, which basically works out to 23 units, and there is a small amount of commercial that is also included on the ground floor, so it's well within those parameters. This is sort of an overview of that. Here's where the building is. It's right next to the train tracks. The commercial space or the parking lot is across the street. You can see that what it is surrounded by. The Ocean City Lofts development specifically is across Railroad Ave and also 4th. So the project meets all of the provisions of the code. There are 2 items that you're going to have to make determinations on that I think you've gotten kind of a brief overview from the applicant. The property is, what's important with the form-based code is like what is a primary street and what is a secondary street and things like that. So 2nd and 4th are primary. Railroad is a weird little building. It's sort of like a super alley in a way, the way that it's functioning. So we'll touch on that in just a minute. So this is final action on the entire project. It won't be on your appealable report. This is approving the development, and as part of that, the approval would be granting a waiver to the required landscape buffer for the parking lot that was across the street. And then the code requires that you make a determination of adequacy. It's LDR section 4.6.10 when it comes to the loading. So it's 23 units and a small commercial space. There have been a number of, interpretations that were decided at the October 1st meeting. Most of that, again, I think in relationship more to how to handle railroad. There was a lot of the topic. And the use of the Art Deco architecture, which I think you've gotten a good overview of already. So I'm going to go through that pretty quickly. So this is the overall site plan, the civic open space, the building with the parking across. We're going to talk a little bit about railroad in terms of the loading provisions. It meets all of the site plan requirements related to having a 4-foot curb zone, which is where we put our trees and our signs and our parking meters and all those things, and then still having that minimum 6-foot wide pedestrian clear zone. The setbacks are all in alignment. Railroad, again, was sort of the subject of it's not quite an alley, but it's not big enough to be a street. It's more than an alley, smaller than a street. How do we want to handle it? That got decided at the October, with the DSMG, and then the waivers that were considered in October. So I think the important part here is whether or not the solution for loading is appropriate. I'm not convinced that it would be on railroad, so let's look at all the other options, okay? Because this is serving some other uses as well, and the diagrams you just showed a vehicle right as you would be going around it at a curve, which is not a great idea. However, I don't think that it is a bigger issue than the moving in and the moving out of the 23 spaces. We all see how Amazon and UPS are functioning. Even if there's a loading space, they stop in the middle of the street, they run in, they dump the packages, they jump out before you can say, hey, you're not supposed to be there. So there's what we think what the code wants, everything lined up in a neat way, and how we actually function, right? So again, this is railroad based on the number of units and the commercial use. The code says 2 loading bays, but we're in downtown and we don't need to build extra asphalt where we don't need extra asphalt, right? So, however, the site is a little bit unique in that the parking is across another street. So it's not like if you're moving in, it's a little bit tricky to use what is normally right next to the building because you're going to carry your sofa, across the street. So it is something we really have to consider just in terms of how this is going to function. The overall development is required to have 50 spaces, right? 47 are across the street, and then there's on-street spaces that are being put in on 2nd. There are already on-street spaces on 4th. So, and then there's sort of the super alley that is giving access to Ocean City Lofts Garage over here. The alley, Railroad Street is being improved. There's plenty of places for people to walk, whereas right now you'd be kind of like walking in the asphalt, right? So this is the condition now. As the applicant said, the new building steps back, makes room for a streetscape, so there's not that conflict between vehicular traffic and people walking along the building, which is a great improvement. This is that sort of that curve where it's coming around to serve other buildings and things. And that's it going down. So is Railroad Corridor sufficient to function as this service street? Is there anticipated adverse effects to adjacent developments if we don't figure out how the loading would work? But I would also submit that the other streets have on-street parking, and while the parking along 2nd is technically required to support this development, there's already existing on-street parking. So how often would there be a loading impact of any significance? Mostly it's going to be limited to the moving in and moving out, right? And so I think you have to really consider whether or not, given the configuration of the project, whether there's a sufficient solution for it to function. You know, our alleys are little workhorses. They do a lot. And this is a bigger, more complete street than an alley, at least. So just to consider it. In terms of making the site plan determinations with the findings, it's all in the backup. In terms of drainage, transportation is a pretty minor, 26 new daily trips anticipated. There will be a parks impact fee per unit due at building permit. There are no school impacts. The project is consistent with the LDRs and the code. You know, the outstanding issues are really whether we think the long term of this is going to function okay with on-street, and then the landscape waiver. So we'll touch on that really quickly. It does a lot of the things that the downtown infill wants to see. It lines the streets, particularly on primary streets. It has a great civic open space for people to, you know, hang out, wait for their friends before they walk to dinner. All the things that we want with downtown living. The architecture has been reviewed exhaustively, so we're not going to stay away from it right now. Just so we're clear why we have design guidelines and how they work in terms of trying to achieve the vision the city has, the residents have for themselves. This is the first submittal, and this is the submission where we are now. Let's talk about the landscape strip. It's the piece that is opposite, not up against the railroad, but the other side. And it really is being requested because the existing parking is 50 feet wide. So there's only something has to give in order to accommodate parking spaces that are striped in sort of the current regulations. And so this is where you see it slightly, it ranges in terms of how wide of a buffer they could fit. So this is along an interior side. It's not affecting what you see when you walk by. Obviously, parking is a premium in downtown, and we want the spaces to be striped properly. So something has to give a little bit, and what's giving or being proposed to give on this side is that 5-foot required buffer is smaller. It's the most small, I think, when it's up against the EV pads. Okay, I'm sorry. Alexia Howell is the senior planner. She's here with me to make sure I know the details, and she's shepherded this through. So when you are considering the waiver, you use the waiver findings as to whether or not it's going to have an adverse impact. This is for the landscape waiver. If it's going to have an adverse impact, if it's going to diminish public facilities, if it's going to create an unsafe situation, or if it's a special privilege. Because it's CBD, there's those extra standards about like making sure we keep a great walkable, environment, protecting incompatibilities and other things. The place that the waiver is being requested is not adjacent to the civic open space, so it doesn't impact that. The loading is just when you approve the development, you have to decide that there's a situation that's going to work. For all development in downtown, we ask everyone to start thinking ahead now how they are going to build this project without impacting the neighboring streets for too long. And so they've already started thinking about their MOT. And while they may have to close it for 14 days, I think it was down to 5 based on some of the strategies that they were using. If it goes beyond the code limit, you'll see it again as an item for the agenda, just in terms of trying to figure out when, obviously we've season, we're not in season, when so we work with them when they're ready to build the project for that. Planning and Zoning Board did thoroughly review the project, and they considered both the landscape waiver and the loading, and they had a unanimous recommendation of approval, 6-0. If you have any questions, I'm here, and I may rely on Ms. Howell as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Anthea. I guess now we'll do public comment. Anyone who would like to speak about this item, please come up to the podium.
Sorry, I think you have to ask about rebuttal.
Now that's after, according to the list.
Oh, I apologize.
No worries. Anyone want to come up to the podium? All right, seeing no one, I'm going to move on to any rebuttal from the applicant or cross-examination. I guess there's no witnesses to cross-examine.
Hi, Hi, Carter Van Voris for VAP Group. I just want to make you aware that Railroad Street / Super Alley / weirdness really functions right now, for those of you who may not have seen it at all hours of the day, which we have, as for the garbage trucks. And also for the move in and move out of Ocean City Lofts. And that's pretty much it. We don't have a lot of other traffic other than, using the FEC Railway property as a parking lot for the rehab that's down the street. So there's really, and that's not up around the curve where we are. So really, we're straddling that street with Ocean City Lofts. So the concern is that they can get their garbage pickup, we can get our garbage pickup, which we've already made a provision for. And I think that there is plenty of room on the street. An average move-in takes 4 hours. It comes in a 30-foot truck. We do have a parking lot across the street. We can't designate it as our loading and unloading place because that's not in the code. But it really is a functional thing. And if we limit the amount of trips via our condo docks, I think we can have very good control over what the loading and unloading requirements are.
Great, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, plus the positioning, our engineers worked out the positioning, the ideal positioning of the said moving truck, and it's kind of, I mean, you saw on the diagram where it was, you got plenty of room before the bend. So people come around the bend, they're not going to go like smack it into the truck. It's going to be positioned, so it's basically in an ideal position, so it doesn't interfere with the road users coming from the south, and also anybody coming from the east either.
And I'm not sure you could even get an 18-wheeler down around that curve.
We gave a graphic for it, but basically we're not too sure if you can actually get it down the street in the first place. Well, possibly, but it's going to be tough.
Okay.
So we think just like a 30-foot moving truck would be one that's going to be in there.
And just be aware that the landscape buffer waiver is all along the railroad side of the track. So there's another 100 feet of FEC railway on the other side of that before it would ever affect anyone.
Got it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Anything to add, Anthea?
No, I'm glad that she corrected the landscape waiver. That I realized as soon as you started talking, I said it wrong. So she's absolutely right. And then I think like downtown, I think it is a balance, right? Because we don't want to put more asphalt in the middle of our center city than we need, but we need to make sure that it's going to function over time. So when these good folks have sold the building and left, that the residents aren't in, that it works. So it is a service street. I think that is a fair characterization.
Great. Okay. That seems like everything. It is up to us now to discuss. So we can start with you, Commissioner Casal, if you're ready.
Did we do public comment?
We did.
Okay, no one commented. I was a little concerned at the first go round in October. I didn't vote for a couple of the waivers because the alley, and then there was that question about visibility behind, which is all resolved. I guess that was the stoops and was it safe in the back and all. But as far as this is concerned, Anthea, when you're talking, I mean, you feel like this loading issue is okay? I know I shouldn't ask you and put you on the spot, but when I'm watching you speaking, I
think we definitely have some concerns. I will say that the parking that is on this side of the road is not anywhere close to being needed to support the building that it's adjacent to in terms of just by the numbers.
Okay.
So staff had concerns. In my opinion, the code saying that you need 2 is ridiculous for a building this size in a downtown location.
Right.
So I think it just goes to like, is this going to work with none? It's not a restaurant where somebody's going to be out there on a daily basis unloading, we have the ongoing issues of some of our restaurants where they're just unloading everyday fresh food. This is not that space. This is an annual move-in at most for most of the spaces, and then there is the commercial space is less than, I think it's 2,100 square feet.
2,600.
2,600. Okay.
Non-food as well. There won't
yeah.
be
So it doesn't have that demand. It's
Okay.
really mostly about the 23 units and how move-ins and move-outs are going to be handled. So do I think they're really going to always park in the alley? Probably not. They're going to use the on-street spaces sometimes. At the same time, are they going to show up with an 18-wheeler? They're not showing up with an 18-wheeler. I agree with that as well. So I think it's just a question of whether they can accommodate it using on-street spaces without disrupting.
Thank you. That was my question. Thank you.
All right. Deputy Vice Mayor Burns.
Yes, I remember the lengthy discussion about the super alley in the railroad street. Given the physical limitations of the street, I can appreciate the applicants working with staff to bring this closer to a workable solution. So I'm prepared to support it. Thank you.
Commissioner Marker.
Yeah. Just a quick question, Anthea. It's 2nd Avenue and 4th Avenue that abut this? Street.
4th Ave.
Yeah, 2nd Street and 4th Ave.
Okay. And is the parking that's on street now heavily used today?
I don't know if it's metered, and if it is, I don't have the data on it. So
Okay.
it's this right here across from Ocean City Lofts, right here.
Okay.
And then this is new spaces that the applicant is adding.
Okay.
And then all of this is new sort of non-vehicular circulation that is being accommodated with the improvements.
Okay.
So these are technically, I mean, they're cities. You're not supposed to like take them over permanently. And they could be metered in the future, and they could be time limited. I mean, that is another discussion a little further down the agenda. But it is asphalt for parking vehicles.
Okay.
That is right there on both sides of the building.
That's good. Okay, thank you.
All right. I think if we're being practical, given the layout of this site and some of the dynamics here, I think the applicant's doing the best they can with what they got, and it is leading to a lot of improvements to the streets. I'm not super concerned about the loading areas, based on what you guys have sort of said here. So I'll be, and I like the Art Deco design, by the way. I think it's a big improvement from the first version. It looks good. So I'm on board with it. And if no one has anything further to add, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve resolution number 128-25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Should we do
Someone
a
to go
roll
wake up
call?
the mayor?
I think we should do a roll call on this one.
Do we need to do a roll call?
Yes.
This is quasi-judicial.
Yeah.
All right, can we call the roll, please?
Commissioner Marker?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Long?
Yes.
Commissioner Cattell?
Yes.
Deputy Vice Mayor Burns?
Yes.
Mayor Carney?
All right.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Should we vote? We don't want
Do
to.
Yeah, right. Vote, like a vote of no confidence.
Legal allowed?
So she's got to be into the record.
Make a motion. Hostile takeover.
That would be very funny. You just avoided a motion.
You didn't bring us coffee,
You just
Carney?
avoided a motion that Rob was going to make.
Oh,
He's gonna do a vote of no contest.
Well, Rob wants to, I've had this conversation with Rob. He wants to give me vice chair when I'm out of town, then call a thing, we're gonna have one meeting every 3 months.
Yeah.
Make them
It's
long
gonna
days.
last 10 minutes.
One meeting a quarter. Yeah.
One meeting a quarter, and he'll be very happy. So I gotta stay alive, so we can meet every week.
It'll be a 72-hour meeting. But
Right. All right, we're on item
7B.
7B. I've already asked to do swear-in witnesses. Anyone's going to speak on 7B. If I could get the clerk or the city attorney to read the resolution into the record, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Resolution 132-25, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, approving a request to utilize the Art Deco architectural style for the property located at 398 Northeast 6th Avenue as more particularly described herein, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you very much. Are there any ex parte conversations on this file with anybody? The commissioners? No?
I don't believe so.
I
Whatever's
don't
on
believe
the
so.
server.
If something, there
Whatever's on the
could be
server.
something on my server, that would be it. All right. Then if Anthea, if you could enter the file into the record.
Yes, this is file 2025-082. The only action that you're taking today is to approve the use of the Art Deco architectural style on the project, and then based on the outcome of this hearing, the applicant can sort of complete their site plan application and move through the process.
Okay. Do we have an applicant to make a presentation?
We do.
There we are.
Good evening. My name is Bradley Miller with Urban Design Studio. I'm the registered agent of the application here, and I get the honor to do the introduction to the real talent in the room, which is the architects that are presenting this. Just for opener, I don't know, Vice Mayor presented it out of liking the Art Deco style, so maybe we should just leave it at that and let you vote and leave.
Yeah.
But I know that they have a quick presentation. It's a great project, and it'll be good for you to see. So with that, I'd like to introduce Rick Gonzalez and Alali De La Varga from REG Architects, and they'll go through the presentation with you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. It's an honor to be here again this evening. My name is Rick Gonzalez. I'm the president of REG Architects, 40 years based in West Palm Beach, and we do historically inspired designs, and we're known for historic preservation across the state of Florida. And I have with me my senior project manager, Alali, and she's going to go through the details of this project. We've been working on it very diligently in the office for the past 6 months, so we're very excited working with Anthea and staff to move forward into the approvals in the near future. Thank you for the opportunity tonight.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. As stated before, my name is Alali De La Vega. I'm with REG Architects, and I'm the Senior Project Manager for this project. This proposed project is located at 398 Northeast 6th Avenue, as stated above, and in the Central Business District. The design for this new mixed-use building aims to harmoniously blend modern functionality with the Art Deco design principles. Okay, the historical context of this project, as you know, Delray Beach is renowned for its vibrant, historic, and eclectic architectural character, with Art Deco being one of them, as highlighted above. Such historical models serve to reinforce the urban fabric and contribute to the revitalization of districts such as this one in an iconic manner. This is a 4-story structure. This is a site plan for the structure. The ground floor is composed of a corner lobby with access to approximately 1,000 square feet of retail and 20 parking spaces, all enclosed within the site. The upper floors encompass 8 condominiums ranging in site from 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. The total building area of nearly 20,000 square feet also features a rooftop terrace with a pool and amenities, which will be shown. Shown here are the Delray Beach defining characteristics of Art Deco, which we used as our guidelines in the design of the building. And specifically, these are the design guidelines that we've included in our design, which are the flat roof elements with concealed parapets. The parapets are also embellished with ornamentation. We're also using abstract figures and geometries, cantilevered eyebrows and recessed openings, and this exterior finish is being stucco in light and pastel colors, and a significant corner entrance feature. The first one being the flat roof structure with the concealed ornamental parapets. The flat roof is distinguished by ornate parapets that are typical of the Art Deco style. They're streamlined in appearance, and they conceal the rooftop above. We also have a decorative finial, which is the key recognizable element of the building. It is placed upon the corner of the building, rising vertically, and it's in the shape of a wave, which is emblematic of Florida's coastal culture. This Art Deco element is finished with smooth stucco, also in soft pastel colors, and it emphasizes verticality and elegance while reflecting the nearby ocean's flow. This finial adds vertical contrast to the building, which is largely horizontal massing. This will serve as the project's marquee. Other distinguishing elements are the cantilevered eyebrows with rounded corners. This is also one of the key features of the Art Deco style. We've also incorporated ornamental metal railings, which are also a definitive element of the style and serve to reinforce the horizontality. As we look here, we have two prominent entrances, the main one being at the corner, which we've used as an opportunity to incorporate glass block, which is a distinguishing feature as well, and distinguishing signage in the fonts that embellish the Art Deco style as well. Along the south elevation, along the east elevation, we have the retail entrance, which also has a curved entrance and the emblematic typology of the Art Deco style. Additional elements are porthole windows, zigzag motifs above the storefront elements, recessed openings, and horizontal banding all throughout the building. Other abstract figures and geometries are circular ornamental details, recessed openings, curved edges along the main facades. And you can see here the rooftop with the pool amenities and entertainment area as well, and an opportunity for lounging. It was pointed out in one of the comments that the prominence of the south facade, and we responded to that by incorporating decorative friezes to reinforce the importance of that facade, and also extended the banding all throughout the building and added glass block in very controlled points on the building as well. The friezes also are representative of the local flora or palm trees. In conclusion, this proposed mixed-use building stands as a thoughtful tribute to Delray Beach's rich architectural heritage while addressing the demands of contemporary urban living. By thoughtfully integrating key Art Deco elements, the design remains faithful to the Delray Beach architectural design guidelines and contributes meaningfully to the city's visual and cultural identity. We believe this structure will serve as a vibrant and lasting addition to the community, offering a harmonious blend of residential and commercial space that reflects and enhances the unique character. We appreciate your time and consideration and welcome your feedback.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Before you go, would you mind just confirming that you were all sworn in?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched him. I
Excellent. Thanks.
Okay.
Just one more point, Mr. Mayor, if I could, Bradley Miller again. I just want to, just for clarity, the approval is on the Art Deco style. We've been working with staff diligently. The project has, I appreciated the last presentation as showing the first one compared to the last one, and we could do the same. And Rick just mentioned to me, he said this project has only gotten better at each step of the way. So this will clear the way then to continue on with our site plan application, and let's get this thing out of the ground.
Thank you for the clarification, Mr.
Thank
Miller.
you.
Obviously, this is just for the approval of the
Right.
style. You're going to deal with staff as to the nuances of whatever requirements they may have as a particular, et cetera, et cetera.
I think the first review comments were 38 pages. So
It's
the
an open book
nuances
test,
are
Only
there.
Bradley. It's an
38
open
We're
book
down to
test.
35. We're doing good.
It's an open book test, Mr. Miller. So, okay. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. You've gotten a thorough overview of the application. Honestly, I can tell you that my team and the planning board had a very similar reaction, which is that this project did not require, we didn't ask a lot of architectural changes when it came in. I believe that one wall was blank. I think you had something on the lower level that didn't have as many openings, and that was a change that was requested that they immediately did on the next submittal, and now they're here to see you. So it's been a nice experience to have somebody read the guidelines and then execute them, and so well right out of the gate. But I know Mr. Gonzalez for years, so I'm not surprised. So I think part of why Art Deco made its way into the design guidelines to begin with was we did have a local architect, Mr. Brodigan, who was very enthusiastic about Art Deco, but it's also as we started seeing our city scale grow to 4 stories, it is one of the styles that can accommodate the height, I think, within its within its sort of structure, and it is prevalent, and some of our districts our historic districts even reference it. So you've seen what the project looks like. You have a staff report, and I think the main thing is that basically the building successfully incorporates the design characteristics of the style. It includes the articulations between solid and void. I'm gonna try to get to it so you can look at it. It has a white smooth stucco finish. There's flat roofs. They have horizontal banding with soft pastel colors, the cantilevered eyebrows for shade. It does incorporate a roof terrace in these outside spaces, and the detailing is consistent with the style. So staff has no issues at all, and shares the planning board's compliments on the execution of the style. It did receive a 6-0 recommendation of approval. And since we're early in the stages of TAC, which is the technical review that every project goes through, I just want to point out that this project also does not have loading. So, however, they have parking on site. So,
fortunately, we don't have to deal. We don't have to deal with that.
I know they're on an alley, but ultimately, the project in terms of architecture is before you for that, and then it will move forward with all the other nitty gritty. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. This meeting is now open to the public. Any members of the public who wish to talk about this project, now is the time to come up, come to the lectern, give your name and address. You will each have 3 minutes. I'm sorry?
I'm laughing at the slide. Alexia was like,
Oh, yeah, well, it was
missing a...
Yeah. Right.
Seeing no members of the public comment is closed. Is there any rebuttal from the applicant to the staff, or staff to the applicant, or cross-examination? Clarification?
Anthea reminded me about your design guidelines. I work in a lot of cities, and you have excellent design guidelines. And it makes such a difference to have it. A lot of architects don't like it because they think that you're, controlling their architectural skills, but no, it's the best way to do a project. I wish more cities would copy Delray Beach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll put that on a card that I send to all of the other cities around. I appreciate it. So to the commission. Mr. Long.
Yes, I'm going to filibuster for 4 hours out of protest.
You got my vote.
For the fact that we make applicants come in to get approval for an approved architectural style. Yeah. I say this every time. It's a running joke, because anytime with Masonry Modern and Art Deco, we have to do a redundant approval process, and I hate it. But that being said, thank you to the applicant. Great presentation. At least it gives us a preview of the site plan that I'm sure we'll see soon. Thank you to staff for your great work and helping them make the project even better. Out of principle, I would vote for this because it's an approved style, but I happen to also like it. It looks good. Thank you.
Mr. Marker.
Yeah, I'm good with this. I thought the presentation was great, and I appreciate the work that, Anthea, you and your staff have put into this, so appreciate that.
Commissioner Casal.
Yes, no, I'm supporting as well.
Commissioner Burns.
Yes, great project. It hits the mark. Thank you.
I would like to figure out a way to streamline the old process too, because
what an idea!
I think Art Deco is a South Florida design. I mean, and I think it suits Delray Beach really well, and I love seeing these projects, but I think we should find a way to echo Commissioner Long's comments. There are some things we should look at only once, and it's going to be fun seeing this project again. But anyway, so if there are any more, I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve resolution
Second.
number 1325.
We got a second.
132-25. Excuse me.
Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Long.
Yes.
Commissioner Casal.
Yes.
Deputy Vice Mayor Burns.
Yes.
Mayor Carney.
Yes.
Commissioner Margaret.
Yes.
Motion passed.
In case there was any confusion, I would say we had consensus on trying to get this stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to take this moment and leverage it that I actually have a contract with me for Mr. Moore to sign to have a consultant help me fix this. And I have funding in this year's budget, so
Well, when
we
it comes to
are
my desk to
tackling
sign,
it.
when it comes to my desk to sign, I will consult Mayor,
It's
Vice
not
Mayor Long,
it's not very big, so it's lower.
Interim Chair Long, to do this. So that's fine.
So
Okay.
we are going to work on figuring out how to revisit the concerns with some of the styles and try to streamline the process once we get everybody's vision kind of back on track, that we're all in agreement. We like this. and we
I
don't need to
think-
do this.
I
So,
think
so
that
we,
that's-
we are tackling that.
that's-
It will help us manage staff's time better too,
We look
frankly.
forward to ratifying that contract.
Well, stop ranting so much then. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. 7C, which is a resolution 12925, amending the fiscal 24-25 budget adopted by resolution 175-24 on September 16th. Mr. Dokowitz, you are still here? Yes?
Barely did he
You
say
think you think you got it bad back there? Come on up here.
I'll get you a coffee if you want to take a 2-minute break.
It's not coffee, it's gin and tonic, for heaven's sakes. I wish it were. It's coffee. Yeah.
Mayor, commissioners, city manager, deputy, council, it's always a pleasure.
Speak into the mic if you would, Mr. Dakowitz, more clearly. Make sure it's on.
Certainly. There we go. We have two different departments looking for budget transfers. Going to start with Public Works. They have several transfers. You have the forms, and I think you also have the supporting documentation that explains it in more detail.
Yes.
Let me just look at Missy's memo. So, transfer between departments in engineering to building maintenance, required to amend the fiscal 25 budget by transfer of $58,000 from the engineering department to the Public Works Department Building Maintenance Division to support the new citywide janitorial services contract. The new agreement's value is approximately 32% higher than the previous agreement. Therefore, additional funds are required to support what is currently budgeted to carry the new agreement through the end of this year. The garage fund transfer between same object code groups. Request to transfer $40,000 from operating supplies external parts to operating supplies outside services due to an increase in outside service repairs for city fleet vehicles this year. Third, stormwater utility fund transfer between major object code groups. Request to amend the 25 budget by transfer of funds from within the stormwater utility capital budget to support a stormwater drainage infrastructure improvement project on White Drive. There is $18,215.75 available in other contractual services, $34.90, and the proposed transfer requests an additional $39,167.24 from other professional services, line item 3190, to 3490 for a project total of $57,382.99. Should I do the other department also, or should we pause here?
I don't have any questions. These are just transfers.
I just have one comment, and it's not a question, and I'm happy to move forward. But I want to piggyback on something that Commissioner Marker talked about earlier, because I noticed that there is going to be funds coming out of the in lieu fund in order to make certain repairs in the parking garage. My whole point about parking fees is that the cost of supporting these public lots and these public garages ought to come from the users of those, because the in lieu fund is, we're going to need more parking down the road. And the comment is, I understand it's permitted under the current rules, but I think we need to start looking at those rules and determining what we really think those funds should be used for. I understand it's allowed for this. I read it over the week. I mean, I understand it. But I think the in lieu fund should be used for what we all think it's going to be used, to be able to build a future garage.
As we discussed earlier.
Yes, correct.
Understood.
So that's
Thank
all
you.
I'm saying. But other than that, can we have a motion to approve?
Well, I have.
Oh, I'm sorry. go
Oh, I'm
ahead.
sorry. I have another department with transfers.
Okay,
Do you want to
go-
make a
no, go-
motion
you
for
go
each?
through them all. Go through them all.
Okay. So we also have from Sam Matat, Director of Parks and Recreation. They would like to request the following budget amendment. The community center needs to replace the fourth air conditioning unit in the gym. 3 of the 4 have already been replaced, and based on age, the 4th one is nearing the end of its useful life. We are requesting $20,000 for the replacement unit, repair maintenance services. Pompey Park needs to replace 2 electrical racks on the property. They are damaged and unsafe to the public that visits the property. We are asking $60,000 to replace 2 racks in the account repair maintenance services. The air conditioning unit at the concession stand located at Little Fenway is broken, in need of replacement. This causes the ice machine to keep breaking down and require repairs. We are asking for $6,000 to replace the mini split at the concession stand into a certain GL account. There was a CPI adjustment to the lease for the teen center with the Delray Women's Club in the amount of $3,078 to be added to their account. There are immediate repairs needed to the Catherine Strong splash pad for it to stay open. We are requesting $500,000 from the GO bond funds that have been borrowed for this repair. The playground at Orchard View Park needs a shade structure for safer play and to help prolong the life of the structure. We are requesting $165,655.60 from the GO bond funds for this purchase. We received $225,000 for the replacement of the playground at Pine Grove Park. This project cannot be done at the current time due to construction in the parking lot. We would like to reallocate those funds for a Healthier Kids playground to be installed at Bexley Trail Community Park. Lakeview Golf Course received $150,000 in CIP funds for cart path repair. We would like to reallocate these funds for the following projects: $100,000 for resodding of greens and $50,000 engineering and design phase for cart barn repair. Thank you.
Great. That's
That's the second department and all of the transfers.
perfect. So if there are any comments from anyone on the commission, then I need a motion to approve Resolution 129-25.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Considerations regarding the implementation of the parking and curbside management master plan, and here she comes, Ms. Barletto.
There she goes.
There she goes. Give me it over Dada's, really, you know.
I'll save you a seat.
Rob will get there first. He knows the way. I know. He's got probably.
It's on? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. I turned it off when I sat down. Perfect. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Missy Barletto, Public Works Director, along with Anthea Giannotto. Issues with implementation of the parking and curbside management master plan. I am apologizing in advance for the length of this presentation.
Maybe Dada's wasn't such a bad idea after all.
I thought Dada's was a great idea, for the record. Okay, so the items that we're going to talk to you about tonight are things that have been postponed for a bit, which has been a common theme of your comments this evening. The first is we're going to talk about establishment of a performance-based parking program, and we're going to talk to you about what that actually entails. We are bringing you information about the potential to have a centralized, there it is, a centralized valet parking program, establishment of a parking benefits district, which when we get to that portion of the presentation will address a lot of the concerns that you have expressed about the usage of the parking in lieu fund. And and maybe help to clarify what we actually need to have happen with some of these revenues in order to achieve the city's goals of having enough funding available to eventually build a parking garage. And then we're also talking about future input into the implementation of this plan and how you envision that happening. Okay, so the first slide here, basically this is the goal. This is like a perfect experience for Jane when Jane decides to come to downtown Delray Beach. She's going to go on her phone app. She's going to look and see where there's available parking. She's going to see signage when she gets to the downtown area that directs her to those parking areas. There will be an available bypass to take her away from the most congested areas, direct her to peripheral parking where there is safe, well-lighted parking available. There's shuttle information available. There's real-time parking rates in her app that's on her phone all before she leaves the house. When she gets to a parking garage, there will be parking by level indications of how many parking spaces are available there. There is a coordinated valet application and predictive software. All of these things were things that were outlined as future goals in the parking and curbside management plan when that was adopted by the city in 2020. And I am happy to say that we have so far implemented all of them except for the coordinated valet app, which we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. So the first thing we're going to talk about is performance-based parking program. And what that means is that we have a right price parking program that directs people to premium, first tier, second tier, and peripheral parking inside the city based on cost. How much it costs to park in a premium parking space should be very different than how much it costs to park in a peripheral space, so that we are actually maximizing the amount of parking we have and people have more choices. So our target for occupancy in the downtown parking area is an 85% occupancy rate. There have been, at peak hours, we come very close to this, and sometimes we exceed this depending on what kind of event is happening in the downtown area. Most of the time we do not. As you know, we've installed parking sensors in every parking space that's an on-street parking space. We have sensors that measure the amount of traffic coming in and out of parking lots. And while we're still struggling with how to organize that data and make the raw data that is coming in give us the proper information that we need to make excellent, well-informed decisions, right now it looks like our parking is being utilized about 55% of the time, not 85% of the time. So there is still, even though we tend to think that there's no parking available downtown because we think of what it looks like at a peak hour, there's still a lot of available parking in the downtown area. Okay, so this is what our current parking program has. Our premier parking is on Atlantic Avenue, and I will apologize because you spoke earlier about having wanted to include the Barrier Island parking program, and this presentation does not address that. This presentation is addressing west of the Intracoastal, just to clarify for that. So Atlantic Avenue, we charge $4 an hour. The first 20 minutes are free for those people who just want to pull up, run in, grab something, and take off. The parking is charged from noon to 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and from noon to 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. what we have now as second-tier parking is the side streets that are along Atlantic Avenue, typically one block north and south, and then also along Pine Grove on 2nd Avenue. Those are charged at $2 an hour from noon to 9, Sunday through Thursday, and noon to 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday, just like our premier parking on Atlantic Avenue. Third-tier parking, which is all of our surface lots, which are very heavily utilized, it is free with time limits. So that has been adopted by commission over the years. It is not what is recommended in a performance-based parking program. The third-tier parking would have a very similar price structure to the second-tier parking because of its proximity to the desired destinations. And then the periphery parking would be parking areas like the parking garages and Bankers Row parking lot, which is significantly off of the main drag, as well as some of the city-owned lots at the CRA, at the City Hall, and at the library. And we're also talking about beginning to utilize the courthouse parking as we move forward into some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. So to compare with our sister cities, we're pretty comparable, except for that they are doing a closer job of providing the performance-based parking, with their prime parking being anywhere from $3 to $4 an hour. Their first tier at $3 an hour, second tier $2 an hour, and their periphery parking, instead of being free, is basically $1 an hour. And these times are pretty much all the time. Give you a second to absorb that. Do you have any questions about any of it?
No, I just noticed Delray Beach is the only one that's free. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, but our on-street meters are higher.
We have people to go.
You've got to give all the facts.
Oh, yeah, but it's
in-
different downtown.
You're actually correct. In the performance-based parking model, you really do have to look at the entire system as a whole. You can't
Agreed.
cherry pick one area
I
over
agree.
another.
I absolutely agree.
Because they all work together to.
I believe in fair
And
treatment
remember,
for everyone.
the overall goal, while revenue is good, the overall goal is to turn over customers for our downtown merchants so that they can be more successful. Okay, so we're going to move on to what staff is looking at recommending for our performance-based parking proposal, which would be to basically leave the premier parking rate at $4 an hour with the first 20 minutes for free, but to change the beginning of the parking times from noon to 11 a.m. The reason that we're suggesting that is because many people who head downtown for lunch will park in a space at 11:45 when it's free. They won't feed the meter, they'll go have lunch, and when they come back, they've got a ticket. So if we start earlier, that gives a little bit more, and that time when I met with each of you individually, there was a variety of opinions about this, and with the consensus being between 10 in the morning to start that paid parking time and 11. In a lot of places, they charge it 24 hours. So, I mean, that is one thing that is different about Delray. The second tier parking, which is currently $2 an hour on the side streets, we're recommending to raise that to $3 an hour, and again change those hours to begin at 11 a.m. for the same reason. The third tier parking, which is the right now the surface lots, which are free, we would look at metering the surface lots and charging $2 an hour with right now a 4-hour time limit. In some places, the Gladiola lot and also the North Railroad parking lot, which are arguably the two most popular lots downtown, they're free with a 9-hour parking limit. So they're basically, that very valuable parking space is being used as employee parking. And that's basically what is going on there. So we would recommend that at the Railroad lot, the Gladiola lot, the Village lot, and the Veterans Park parking lot, all with still a 4-hour time limit. So you can park there for longer, for a little bit less than parking for about half the price of the premier parking on Atlantic Avenue. For the Baker's Row lot, it is significantly off the avenue. It's a pretty good hike into anything that you might want to do downtown. We're recommending leaving that at a time-limited lot. There are free EV chargers in both Bankers Row and in the Old School Square parking garage, and we're looking for direction on whether you want to begin to charge for EV charging, or whether you want to leave that as a free service that the city provides as a sustainability promotion.
Could I ask a question before
Yeah.
you move on? Well, Veterans Park, we want to charge people that are going to the park. I mean, the parking should really be for people going to the park.
Well,
I know that other people use
you
it,
can't
and the
limit
restaurants
who parks
use it,
there.
but-
Yes, everybody uses it. So
Right.
you really can't limit. You can't tell somebody that you can park here and not. We have this same issue that comes up all the time with construction workers.
Right.
Utilizing some of our free parking lots and taking up spaces that should be for.
I understand, and it's a minimal fee, so it's okay. But what about look, we all would like the employees not to be parking in the prime parking, and we'd love to charge for it as much as we can, but where are they going to park at this point?
So one of the things that I guess I just jumped right over it.
Or I may have not heard it.
So
I'm sorry.
one of the things that we're looking for direction from Commission about tonight is what we charge in the parking garages. In some of the adjacent areas, they charge a minimal fee, $1, $1.25 an hour, 24 hours a day.
Mhm.
On one hand, that can help us keep people from overnight parking, basically camping in our parking garages,
Right.
which is a minor issue for
Mhm.
us. That it happens occasionally, but it is not a continuous problem that we have to guard against.
Mhm.
Or we can make those peripheral parking garages free, which will drive it'll drive some of those people who are parking now in our prime parking spaces that should be for downtown customers into the parking garages.
And we had talked at one point about the parking over behind the library, the courthouse parking,
That's included.
as potential parking
We're
for.
going to talk about that in the next part of the presentation when we get to the centralized valley parking program.
Right, but could we use that for employees as well? I mean, if you're talking about if you're working downtown on Atlantic at the other end, where are you going to park to get yourself over to be working at Costa maybe the free lot on Federal? I mean, I guess I'm just trying to understand. I've seen these people. I saw some poor guy fully dressed in a black long sleeve shirt and black pants running down Atlantic because he had trouble parking and couldn't find a spot. In fact, one of our lovely staff picked him up on a golf cart. It was impressive. Where are we going to have these people parking so that they can work in our city?
In the parking garages. And employees, maybe I won't say it the way I would say it to my staff.
Go ahead, say
But
it.
what I would say to my staff is, we're all adults here. You know how to get to work on time.
Right.
And it's not necessarily the city's responsibility to make sure that
I
people
don't think
get
it
to
is,
work on
but
time.
it's the thing that the biggest problem our businesses experience is the lack of parking, and it's the thing that we can maybe try to do because we can't help them control
The data set
rents.
that we're bringing in is showing that there is available parking.
Okay.
and they're not utilizing it. They're utilizing more of the premier parking that should.
So are we going to go to the businesses and give them information?
If you let me talk
Oh,
about
sorry.
the
I'm
next,
sorry.
if we can talk
Go ahead.
about the next part of this, because you really have to look at the entire program as a whole.
Commissioner Burns would like to ask you a quick question.
Yeah, it's about Veterans Park as well. And I know that everybody uses that, but for instance, people who rent the facility for wedding ceremonies or whatever, is it possible that in the packet with the rental they could get parking passes for people
Certainly.
that are attending that?
Certainly, we have for special events and things like that, we do have rates for people to rent parking spaces to make those parking available, and we do allow them to block off a certain amount of the parking.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, so the next piece that we want to talk about is the concept of having a centralized valet service that would be one valet operator for the entire downtown area. It would be, so let me say what we have currently. Currently, we have license agreements with adjacent businesses. So right now, they are all restaurants, who then contract with independent valet operators to operate valet stands, and that the operator's entire business model is based on what they can make off of that service. So by the license agreement, we allow valet parking. There are 5 different stations on Atlantic Avenue, 7 days a week. They operate from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. The valet fee is $15 for the first 4 hours, and there's a $10 surcharge after that. What the city makes off of this program is $189.09 per valet queue space. And that is all the money that the city makes off of this program currently. The agreement term, it's an annual renewal, and the valet operators contract with owners of private parking lots in the downtown area in order to store the vehicles while they're waiting for the customers to come back to the stand and pick them up. So I started to explain before what a centralized valet system is. It would be one contract that would be leased by the city. The city would manage that contract with a private vendor. The city would have the ability to determine exactly where the valet queues are going to go, so it would not be in front of this restaurant or that business that wanted a valet queue. It would be in a specific location. The pickup and drop-off points can be off of Atlantic Avenue, which is going to greatly improve the management of traffic in the area and decrease some of the congestion, because the valet stands have a lot of in and out all during the evening. One of the things that we're looking at is providing that valet app that was mentioned in the curbside and parking management plan that will allow people to drop their car off at the main drop-off, and then they can go onto the app and say exactly when and what time and where they want to pick their car up, so they can go from one end of the avenue to the other and pick their car up at the far end, not in the same place where they dropped it off, which is an enhancement. It provides a improved experience for our downtown visitors. So some of the problems that we experience in the way that the current valet parking model is being operated is that the majority of the valet stands are located on the south side of Atlantic Avenue, which is also where the majority of the traffic is entering the downtown area. So it causes just traffic to move very inefficiently in that area. The parking studies over the years, as well as the parking modeling that we did for the Swinton and Atlantic Intersection Improvement Project, indicate that moving these valet stands off of Atlantic Avenue onto side streets would be a major benefit for the downtown area. Additionally, because the city does not have any kind of a contractual agreement or arrangement with the existing valet operators, it is difficult for us to gain compliance with the rules. There are many times where people have repeated back to us anecdotally that they hear the valet operators asking for more money than what they're allowed to charge, or they have big A-frame signs that are not allowed, that are sitting out in the middle of the pedestrian walkway. If the city is managing this contract, then we'll be able to have a much better handle on enforcing those rules. There we go. This thing never likes me. So what staff is proposing is that we follow the model that Coral Gable uses. It's the only other city that we found in South Florida that has a centralized valet parking program. That we do a single RFP for a vendor to come in and operate the entire parking program with one central drop-off and 3 or more satellite stands for pickup. We can monitor how that's working and see where people are asking to be picked up, and we can increase or decrease as needed. We would keep the fees the same, $15 for the first 4 hours and a $10 surcharge after that 4 hours. But where the city will begin to make additional revenue off of having a centralized valet parking program is that we would utilize those city-owned lots, the library lot, the county parking garage, the city hall lot, the courthouse lot behind the courthouse for vehicle storage. What that does, in addition to bringing in revenue for the city by leasing back that vehicle storage area to the vendor, it will also free up some of those available private parking lots downtown, which makes those parking lots, they're not currently being utilized with the parking meter and things. So there's an opportunity for downtown employers to lease a parking lot for their employees if that's something that they might desire, or for perhaps another entity to get involved in creating a downtown employee parking area in some of those private parking lots. Additionally, the owners of those private parking lots could just meter them like the other private parking areas have downtown and increase the amount of downtown parking. So are there any questions about the centralized valet queue? Okay, so now we're coming to the establishment of a parking benefits district. So currently, all of the revenue that comes into the city through parking meters goes directly into the general fund and supports the city's operations. There are a number of things in the parking program that require maintenance and upkeep. Right now, some of the things that we have on the list is that the railroad parking lot base is failing. It needs to be completely restored to a full depth restoration. The parking spaces that are in that lot currently were designed back when people drove land yachts and not today's more compact vehicles. So there is an opportunity there to maximize space and create additional parking spaces in addition to improving the lot. All of that is probably $1 million investment that we need to make into our parking system. Additionally, in our parking garages, they're of an age now where we need to be looking at our fire sprinkler system, making some major repairs in those. The outdoor elevators, we know, do not function well in the heat of the summer or during special events. So when there's a lot of activity in those outdoor elevators, they are going to overheat. People are going to get stuck in them. There's going to be a number of complaints that come into commission. In the parking in lieu fund transfer that you just approved is for us to convert one of the Old School Square parking garages that has been elevators that's been out of service for a significant length of time from a hydraulic system to an electric system, which comes at a cost of nearly $300,000, but will prevent those kinds of problems from happening in the future so that our visitors and residents can feel safe getting in the elevator and going up and down knowing that they're not going to get stuck. That fund, that is coming out of the parking in lieu fund. One of the, so the elements of a parking benefits district that are being proposed is that it becomes an element of the city's overall transportation and mobility plan, which I'm going to give Anthea a chance to talk here in a minute. But right now we are looking at establishing the city's transportation and mobility plan in order to be able to retain the impact fees that we charge to new development in our downtown area for the city, instead of having to send all of that to the county to be used for new lane miles, which is what it's designated for now. So that's another benefit. It promotes an active management approach to parking. It establishes a decision-making environment that's based on data and technology, because we have now got parking sensors where we have accurate data on how much the side streets are being utilized, how much the main avenue is being utilized, how much the surface lots are being utilized, and we can adjust rates based on the amount of utilization to drive the parking public to the areas where we think that they need to be to prolong the amount of time before we have to invest in that new parking garage. So it also, the adoption of the parking and curbside management master plan gives the commission the opportunity to change the way that decision making comes before the community. The master plan lays out a plan, an implementation plan for the city to follow on a regular basis. But the other thing that this does would direct not all but a portion of the parking revenue into a separate fund, which would be a dedicated and reliable funding source to put aside to be able to pay for maintenance and operation of our parking facilities. The in lieu parking fee is dependent on new development coming in. So it's not a guaranteed fund. It's never had a lot of money in it. So what it's used for right now, it's allowed to be used for parking and mobility issues, bicycle and pedestrian, to lessen the impact on vehicular traffic. So we've used that fund in the past to actually develop the parking and curbside management master plan. We've used it to do the bicycle and pedestrian master plan, all of which move into that overall mobility plan, which provides additional funding for the city. Do you have any questions?
Sure. Mr. Long, would you like to start off?
Are we done? Is that the whole thing?
Now I have one more section because
No, I don't. Then just finish.
No, we'll wait till you finish.
Let's sprint to the end.
I haven't worn you out
Wait
completely
for Anthea
yet.
to say one thing like hi.
Okay, I'll let her do this. Okay, so the way that parking decisions are made now, we bring them before the Parking Management Advisory Board, and they provide an opinion, and then we bring them in front of the Downtown Development Authority Board. They provide an opinion based on what staff is recommending, and then we take those opinions and we bring them to commission. So we recently, on June 17th, we actually received a letter from the Downtown Development Authority that does not follow that traditional pattern. The board actually put parking management issues on their regular agenda, and they discussed a number of different things that they would like to see happen in the city moving forward. So some of those things, you were all recipients of the letter, I believe. So they asked for us to consider implementation of a summer parking rate to try to attract additional customers to the downtown area by reducing rates. They made recommendations on public parking garages. Their recommendation was to make all of the public parking garages free. They considered changes to the railroad lot. They agreed that the railroad lot should be metered, but they did not think that it should begin until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it should be free from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then metered from 4 p.m. until 2 a.m. with 3-hour time limits. The Gladiola lot being the exception to that, because they did recommend that we not meter the Gladiola lot at all and reserve that lot for employee parking. All of that came out of the May 19th meeting. At the June 9th meeting, there was additional conversation where they voted to request that the city abolish the Parking Management Advisory Board and direct the DDA to take over those responsibilities. I will say in the discussion of the Parking Management Advisory Board, we have had a very, very difficult time getting a quorum to those meetings, so it has not met on a regular basis. But in addition to that, since the adoption of the Parking and Curbside Management Master Plan, there have been very few new items that require a decision to bring before that board, because the decisions have been made and they're in an adopted plan that was blessed by commission already. So there's not been a lot to bring before that board. And I think, Anthea, did you want to talk about the development services piece of?
So there's a couple things in regard to PMAB. Sorry, acronym speak. It really is another step in the process in a time constraint that is being tightened constantly by state thresholds and deadlines. That the last two in lieu requests we brought to you without getting the recommendation, because quite simply couldn't wait another month for there to be a quorum. I believe that we forwarded a memo, I don't remember, Missy, if it just went to Mr. Moore or if it was shared with the commission, where we attached several years of attendance records. And I think it's just at this point, the technology that the city has invested in, the staff and the plans that a technical staff is able to, to follow, and even things like the shift for costs for fees on Atlantic. were decided by this board. So I think it was really important when we were dealing with like on the street observations and anecdotal, sort of experiences to shape decisions related to parking, back in the day. But we've moved past that. And at this point, I think it is a reasonable suggestion as to whether or not PMAP is necessary anymore. However, one of the functions PMAP had was to make recommendations about in lieu. I don't necessarily think that it would be wise for that to shift to the DDA, because you have business owners who are then maybe recommending against their competition being able to use in lieu. I mean, not that they would, I'm sure they wouldn't, but the appearance of potential conflicts. And again, we adopted a new in lieu ordinance with more measurable standards anyway. So just in terms of PMAB and that particular function, I think the applications could just come straight to commission. So that's, I think, an issue there. I don't know what else. Oh, and then the only thing, just in terms of, it's a whole process that's being set out to you. So when we talk about where the employee is going to park, we have tried to do several employee parking programs, but quite honestly, there's no reason for me to join your employee parking permit because I have plenty of parking right here that's free. So I think that it is important that we launch a real effort with it if we are going to start charging for these lots. If the decision is ultimately to move forward with these changes, the employee parking recommendations actually start on page 38 of the parking curbside management plan if you have it. And they are talking about that you use the upper levels of the garage for free. You can set aside a certain number of spaces in the Gladiola, a certain number in Railroad if you want, so that there's ways to accommodate it. And I think if we are going to make this move, then there will be more demand for an employee parking program that there hasn't been a whole lot of interest in to date. It'll change, So it is try to do all of it together kind of strategy.
That idea of setting aside spaces, how would that work? Who would oversee that those are allocated and make sure the people parking in those are the correct people? How that seems like it would be challenging.
So what we had proposed previously was to designate the top 2 floors of the Old School Square parking garage for employee parking, where if the parking garage is going to be free, then it's free employee parking in the downtown area. It would be a first come, first served sort of.
How many spaces, Missy?
I would have to remember, but I believe I would be guessing. There are over 500 spaces in the parking garage, so we would be talking, close to maybe 150, 200 spaces. Okay. So we had talked about putting a gate at the entrance to the 4th level, that they would have a barcode that would allow them entrance into that area. It would change on a regular basis so that as there's employee turnover downtown, somebody doesn't take a waiter job for 2.5 minutes and still have all that free parking available to them, because their barcode will work forever. So we'll try to do the best job that we can do to promote that. We did bring this forward in 2023. It was not popular with the merchants group. So I'm going to just say that this is one of many employee parking programs that we have proposed, and none of them have really met with a popular, that's the answer. That's what we want to do.
Well, I mean, I got to tell you, when Boca tried it wasn't popular with them either. And employees have had no problems finding, whether they have problems or not, those restaurants are still full, those shops are still full, and everyone's paying for their parking.
Right.
Why? The 3-2-T plan wasn't popular either.
Right.
The 3-2-T plan that we did to raise the parking to 3 and 2 and get it all streamlined, that wasn't popular either. Yet it actually leads to more turnover.
That list is not irrelevant about everybody's paying, and with respect to I agree with the discussions on the in lieu. I think it should come to the commission, by the way. I don't think it should go, I think it should come directly to us. We don't need an intermediary step, because we're going to have to hear it anyway. You'll like that.
This is all for you, Rob.
you know, I actually think that the parking times that you propose for all of the lots works. I don't believe in exempt lots. Now, if the DDA wants to use portion of its revenues, or the restaurants who are the beneficiaries, or the shops want to buy for their employees, what other cities do, parking passes, where they pay a fee for this pass, and you know they get a break on the pricing, of course, but you know, and that pass goes into the dashboard there, so the people say, oh, it's an employee, which, by the way, when that employee is no longer an employee, has to be turned back to the city because they're numbered, and then a new one is being issued as the new employee gets there. I understand your issue about having staffing problems. I wish I would. That is not a Delray problem. All the restaurants everywhere are complaining about staffing problems. So, I mean, I just think that if we are going to be asking our citizens to pay more in taxes, if we aren't doing everything to leverage our own assets to help with our budget, then it's sinful. I mean, I understand why it's not popular with the merchants. As I said, I was kind of in the middle of it with one of them, representing him as a client in Boca Raton, and it was not popular. I mean, it's going to ruin. The sky was falling. Guess what? You know, they raised their rates. Everyone's paying parking. As I said, I lost my spot, but that's, you know, a personal matter. But so I mean, I just don't. I'm hoping finally we can adopt this program. I do think you need to look at the beach, because again, we are by far the cheapest for anybody on the beach. I mean, if you can't go down
We're actually, if you go back and look, we're actually very similar on beach parking, but they're structured differently in other places, because especially in Boca, they have dedicated parking lots that up until recently had somebody taking tickets at the gate. They've changed that now to a different kind of a it's an unmanned kind of thing, but the price is the same. They charge $35 a day, regardless of how long you're there. We charge $3 an hour. We don't necessarily limit how long you can park there, and that's $36 for 12 hours. So during our paid parking. So it's structured a little bit differently.
Before Laura's time on the DDA, way before Laura's time on the DDA, and before anybody's time here, I was involved with when they were going to do the old school square garage. And all the merchants said, you can't have paid parking. We're going to do the old school. As soon as you get the old school square garage, then, you know, well, guess what? They still didn't want paid parking. And they're never going to want paid parking. And I understand why they don't want paid parking. But the reality is someone will pay $2 to do it, because as Commissioner Long pointed out earlier, you can spend $13 for a cup of coffee. So
two.
So we're kind of to the.
I'm sorry, 2 cups.
We're kind of to the point in the
Which is
presentation where I need direction from Commission. I need some solid consensus on how you want us to move forward. So implementation of a performance-based parking program, I feel like that you're generally on board with that. But do we want to make the parking garages free? Do we want to charge $1 an hour like they do in some other? There are examples both ways
I've given
in
my
many places.
I think everybody should pay for parking. It's a user fee. People who use it should pay for it. And I'm sorry, but that's what they do everywhere else.
So really the strategy is supply and demand,
And not
right?
Delray.
It comes back to that simple. Not every space is created equally, and the surface lot that is at the railroad lot, those spaces might be worth more than the surface spaces that are back over, you know, at the Bankers Row lot. So it really is a supply and demand thing. I think, and the structure that this plan lays out is that the garages should be your cheapest option, right? To go into the garages, because you know, that's a longer stay, and the on-street space on Atlantic is the most valuable, therefore it's most expensive, right? So we just need to tier them, I guess, that way. And then ultimately, I do think that we can come up with a successful strategy for employees, however you want to guide us towards that, because it just, there hasn't been the impetus to change until if those lots are all metered, then we're going to have to shift. They'll shift, you know. And so the question is, how accommodating a program do we want to set aside specific spaces to accommodate
Everyone pays
employees
their
or
fair
not.
share.
May I ask a
Commissioner
question?
Margaret, would you like to
Oh.
go first?
Sure. Well,
I'm sorry, were you finished?
Yes, I'm finished. I think Commissioner Casal had a question.
No, it's okay. Go ahead, Mr. Marker.
No, go ahead, Julie. If you got a question, it's cool.
Did we calculate what the financial benefit of these transitions are for us?
There were so many options
Variations.
out there that I would have spent so many hours doing
Okay, thank
return
you.
on investment that I did not do that yet. But when I get direction tonight, before we actually implement, I will bring you those numbers back.
But I'm relatively assured it's more than we're making now.
It's definitely will be more than we're making now.
It's like the actuary report. You know how it's going to turn out.
Go ahead, I'm sorry,
No,
Commissioner.
it's all good. First of all, thank you guys for the work that you did here. I thought this was super thorough, and I like it a lot. I hadn't really given thought to maybe charging $1, you know, in the areas where we know we have excess parking. I don't know what the merchants would think of that, but that Laura probably knows. But that's an interesting option that I hadn't considered. So I'm gonna think more about that one, but maybe that works. Do you like that one?
Look, I think $1 is not a lot of money. I think people go to any other city they're used to paying for parking.
Yeah.
I mean, go to West Palm, go to any other city. I mean, you say this not every city. I don't.
In the parking garages in West Palm, you pay $1 for the first hour that you're there.
Right.
For the second half hour you're there, you
I know,
pay
they kill you.
$2.
They gouge you.
For
Yeah.
the third half hour you're there, you pay $2, and then it goes to after the
$1's
first
there to help
hour.
you with, if you
It
want to go
goes
into
to
a shop, you're
$4
going to
an
pay
hour.
$1 to take at the spot. But if you're going to go there for dinner, they make you pay for it.
Yeah.
They make you pay for it. And it's just, but you know, getting back to your in lieu issue that you raised before, part of this program is to use the parking monies that we're making to affect some of these repairs of the facilities that people are using in the parking.
Right,
So
and to offset some of that cost from the general fund, because we'll be redirecting some of the funds that are currently going to the general fund into this parking benefits district. We can also look at paying for the freebie service out of that, which it is a parking benefit that is part of our downtown mobility program. And maybe as we do better and better with our parking revenues, we can increase that service, which we've all been encouraged to look at from time to time.
love it. Commissioner Burns.
Okay.
I apologize. I know this was really overwhelming to bring
No.
all of this at once, so I do
I
apologize.
need some coffee.
When do we adopt the plan? 2020? I mean, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, it's fine. We're getting
2020. We've been moving at a pretty
already.
steady pace
sorry, I took away.
at implementation all
rude.
along.
So
So
sorry.
to get to this point.
Thomas interrupted us. I apologize.
Yeah. I was just going to say that thank you for all the work you put into this. Lots of work done. I agree that the parking garages should be cheaper. And I think that, you know, as Anthea said, to work on some sort of reasonable situation for employees. I mean, we need to move forward with something. We need some revenue. We got a skinny budget.
So by parking garages cheaper, are you thinking free or are you thinking $1 an hour?
Cheaper, it doesn't. Cheaper has an amount attached to it.
I'm sorry, less expensive.
Okay, yeah, less expensive, $1.
It's a classier way to say it.
Some revenue.
Okay, $1.
Commissioner Long.
So, first of all, thank you both for this heroic effort. This is a ton of work. This is a lot to grapple with at this hour. But
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Thank you for muscling through it. And this is very important. You know, I think it's actually charging for parking downtown is one of the most effective ways to basically get tourism money to fund our infrastructure. Because it's mostly tourists that are using our downtown more regularly. It takes a lot of the burden off residents. So I that's the part I think we should keep in mind here. And I am sensitive to the merchants downtown, but I'm also, as everyone knows, because I've ranted about it up here before, a big proponent of walkability downtown. We happen to have the most walkable downtown in the county, right? So we have underutilized parking garages. People can walk. It doesn't really bother me if an employee has to walk a few blocks. And I know the concern about folks walking home at night with like cash tips and stuff like that, but I get that. But we have options. We have Freebie. We have very walkable downtown. We have, I don't know, we have a lot of options for folks. So it's hard for me to really get behind arguments that people should be able to, whether it's employees or residents, should be able to park right in front of businesses. I just don't think that's realistic at all. We have ample parking downtown. We have parking garages everywhere. We know the numbers, right? I mean, you can both, I'm sure you both would say that all the proposals and recommendations herein are very data driven, right? All this is data driven.
Yes.
My background's in engineering, so I follow the data, right? So to me, I'm on board with the implementation of the performance-based parking program. I think that's awesome. I'm super on board with the centralized valet parking program, and I didn't think I would be at first. When you first brought that up, I was like, we want to get involved in the valet game? That seems like a nightmare, but it makes sense. I'm with it.
Great in Coral Gables.
I'm on board with it.
But you know what really works is you're going to get one vendor.
Right.
Yes,
I
we're-
love that
This
idea.
model that's been
And we're gonna
proposed
get
works.
revenue.
And we're going to get revenue.
Other
Love
versions
that
of this
model.
that we looked at did not
Love
work.
that
This
model.
works. Now, I am on board with some, like, piloting some kind of program for like the top floor of a parking garages for employees.
First floor or the top two floors?
Top two, whatever the plan
Yeah.
was, I'm on board with that.
Okay.
And then just geographically, something has to be set aside. I think Gladiolo lot for now, because if it's getting metered, because if you work on that, I don't know. It says,
Okay.
so we'll look at it.
Yeah, I'm
But-
on board with some version of that. I don't know all the specifics. As long as it's well managed in terms of people having like a barcode that gets rotated, like you said.
I think
that's
that instead
reasonable.
of looking at the Gladiola lot in particular, that we should look at some of the lots on the barrier island that we close down at dusk, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they're already gated. We can make those available for employee parking for that side of town relatively easy and at less cost.
Cool. I like that.
Can everybody weigh in on, there's a couple things we touched on. I'm so glad you brought up the centralized valet because I don't know whether we have consensus. So what we really need from you guys is to tell us consensus on the centralized valet. If we all agree that if you are at a city EV charger, it's probably not a free space any longer, that you're helping to pay for the electricity you're charging up.
Right.
We can charge for those.
Yeah, you'd have to pay a parking fee to park there. Right now, you don't. So,
So as we do them, it's an infrastructure. It costs money. Missy's fixing them all the time. It shouldn't be free.
yeah, for the record though, they only cost like $1.86 a day. They're not super expensive.
All right, so they don't need a more expensive price, but they'll be priced. And then the other thing, and I think I'm glad Commissioner Long brought it up, is that all of this works off of, while most of us walk, it's a park once environment. We do have an older constituency, and Freebie is that fail-safe that when you've parked somewhere else, you can move around relatively easy. So as we start restructuring that, it is one of the things, that I think gets debated at every budget season, but for a downtown mobility plan that we're charging higher fees to work, that, we have to be mindful of if we decide to cut there, because it does serve a purpose the more that we manage parking in this manner.
No, good point. We're going to be even more reliant on it, I think. So I'm never going to be on board with getting rid of it, for the record. But
I feel different about Freebie if people are paying for their parking and they're using it to get.
well, yeah, we'll be much more reliant on it.
It's
Especially the employee. I mean, the employees may need it.
Because we got a revenue.
Even. But I think the last part of this was PMAB. I'm a big proponent of our advisory boards, but it does feel inefficient to have this still.
We were going to point you as the ex officio to go to all the meetings.
Oh, really? Okay, then in that case, yeah, there are none. So it will take up 0 minutes of my time. I'm all about, I don't want to say I'm about efficiency because that's kind of doji and that makes me gag. But like,
You and Elon.
ugh.
America First.
Anyway, so yeah, I think we should 86 PMAP. I think we need to get rid of it. So that's where I'm at. I'll pass the torch here.
So even though I didn't present anything on the beach parking, I do have some other ideas about it that were not a part of this presentation, that if you want to give me direction while we're giving direction this evening, one of the ideas that I have, we can't do very much with extending the paid parking or the ability to park along A1A because that's not our jurisdiction. However, in all of our surface lots, we lock those lots down at 8 or dusk or 8 o'clock in the evening, whatever comes earlier. We can actually meter, their lots are already metered. We can actually open them up and charge 24 hours for those lots. The reason that they were locked in the past was because many of the beachfront condominiums only come with one parking space, but they come with 2 cars. So there was a lot of those lots being filled up by adjacent residents using it as additional parking for themselves free of charge. So if we were to open those parking lots up and let them be 24-hour parking, my recommendation would be that we charge 24 hours for that ability. So that would be an alternative for, and I have no idea. There's no way to know in advance exactly how well utilized those lots would be.
Right.
Commissioner Casal.
Thanks. So I'm all in favor of the valet. Brilliant idea, Missy, and I appreciate you for that. I think we should, I've said last year, I feel like people who aren't residents should be paying a higher fee at the beach. Our taxpayers contribute to our beach through their taxes. Non-residents do not, and we should be incorporating a fee. I don't know how you can do it.
I can't do it.
Okay.
I appreciate the thought,
I know, it just
and I
bothers
agree
me
with you.
that our
We
taxpayers
don't
have to
actually own any of those parking lots.
except for the lots.
And those lots are all governed by agreements with Palm Beach County or with the state of Florida that do not allow us.
There's no way we can discuss
No,
that
we
with
are-
them to say, hey, listen, they're contributing as well to our beaches.
They're not open
Okay.
to.
Well, I'm
Because at that point, it's a county asset, and we're now penalizing
Right.
county residents.
Okay.
As opposed to Delray Beach residents.
Say no more.
so.
Premier 4 hours. I'm okay with that. Starting at 11 a.m. is fine. Second tier, $3 an hour. Starting at 11. I'm fine with that. I'm not good with the third tier. I'm sorry. Till I really
one?
the third tier, which is where currently the employees are parking. Till we feel like the businesses know how their employees are going to park and we have a plan in place, I don't want to do that. So if the city can get together with the businesses and we can figure out a plan, I would consider it. But at this moment, sitting here, us making this decision tonight, I know that I've had so many complaints from the downtown businesses just about the meters and in general the parking situation, how much of a struggle it is for people. So the things that we can give to help, I'd like to do. With respect to that summer parking program, what type of variation would a summer parking program look like? Is that necessary? Is there more parking in the summer?
I don't have a full year of data yet.
But
to
what are they
really
asking for? Are they
compare.
asking
They didn't
for-
ask for anything specific.
just a
They just
variation, but
asked
not-
for reduced rates for the summer in the downtown area to help attract people. So
does that
perhaps we could do it.
Try it.
Perhaps we could do it in. I know that the DDA always does a summer program where there's reduced meals here at this restaurant, different restaurants,
Doing it
or
corresponding with?
businesses, and maybe the city can join into that program with a reduced parking rate. We have the downtown Well, we have the city resident parking rate that gives
Yes.
everybody 50 cents off
Right.
of whatever parking area. All they have to do is go down and sign up for it.
Yes.
So we have the ability to program the meters to do that kind of thing. So maybe that can be another perk of the
Incentivize people to
DDA's.
come.
Yeah.
I like
the
that idea,
DDA's
Missy.
summer program.
Thank you. That's another brilliant idea on your part.
Okay, as I said, I understand your position, you're one person there, but I don't think we can ask taxpayers to raise their taxes when we don't when we exempt certain things. I've seen in Boca and other places, employees, you know, they have to figure out how they're gonna park, they're gonna figure out how to park. The restaurants, really, it's the obligation of the restaurants to figure out how they're gonna have their employees to park. And as I said, we should make available some kind of a parking pass program where the restaurants can purchase, at a discount perhaps, something so that the city's making revenue off of all of its lots, because I think that's the least we owe the taxpayers when we're going back to them with a tax increase. So whether we have a special program for the summer, I'm not opposed to trying to do a special summer program. I mean, the reality probably is more residents use the downtown in the summertime than they do in the wintertime. So that kind of, there is some sense to it. I'm on board with the centralized parking program, the valet parking program. I mean, as I said, I've used it in Coral Gables, and it worked great. I didn't realize you had. I mean, there's other places that use it, not just Coral Gables. They may be the closest and similar to us, but other people use it very successfully. So, so we're going to need consensus on certain things, right? So, I've outlined what I think with all the lots should be included with the hours that they said that everybody pays. With the parking garage, as Angela said, at $1, because I was at $1. I think everybody was at $1 for the use of the parking lot. If you want to have a tiered rate, you have to come back with something. I don't know, you know, what that is. We also have for the top floors of the garage are going to be considered, right? So, so far we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know where you are on that, Julie.
What, on which one?
Well, I'm actually, and the one so we got the 4. The only one you disagreed with is whether or not the Gladiola lot, and by the way, my office is by the Gladiola lot. I will tell you that a lot of people go there with their beach stuff, and they park there, and they walk down to the beach. So let's not pretend where people are parking and what they're using that lot for, which is why I don't mind metering it, because I'm there. I see it like all the time.
Right.
So
I think the biggest problem for employee parking is not necessarily during beach hours, but during the evening hours when the restaurants are busy. So my preferred solution to that would be to take one of the parking lots on the barrier island that is
I
close.
agree with that. I was going to get there.
And use that instead of the Gladiola lot,
Yeah,
because the Gladiola lot is more centralized.
Right, and people are, you know, so I need consensus on those 4 pieces, and then we're going to get to, well, Julie, I don't know whether you're the only one, the holdout on whether or not you think we should have all this free parking in the city, unlike everybody else.
You're saying that in a really kind of negative way. I'm not the holdout.
No, I'm just saying that I understand.
I want to make sure that if we're transitioning the parking, which we believe the employees are using, that we are going to first find the parking for them, make sure the businesses understand where it is. So I'm not prepared to do that. I said it, I'm fine with the tier 1 and the increase to $4 and the 11. I'm fine with the tier 2. I'm not fine with the tier 3.
Understood. Well, I'm fine with the tier 3 because we're asking the taxpayers to come up with more money. I believe the restaurants are responsible for making sure that their employees can park. And as I said, they can buy a parking voucher at a discounted rate. That's a program that other cities do. And I just don't believe it's fair to
You said
have
it about 7
lots
times.
exempted.
It's 8:30. I'm not
No,
trying
I'm
to
just
be
saying.
fresh,
So
but
that's where I am, and I
you've
think
said
we have
the same thing
consensus.
over and over again.
I think
Let's
we have
just get
consensus
it
on
done.
that point. Yes. So we have consensus on that point. So
Twice.
we have consensus on that point. So you're not on consensus. We have consensus on.
We know I think. Do they know?
No, but I have. You're the only one saying that you want to have the employees have free parking. And I think everybody else here is saying
I
no.
said what I said 4 times. Jeepers. This is getting redundant. We're saying the same
Let
thing
me
over
tell
and
you,
over
if we
again.
don't adopt it now, it's
The
gonna go
ladies
on
understand
and on
what I
and
just
on.
said. You said it. We've
I think
all
we got
said
consensus.
it.
We have consensus, ladies and gentlemen.
moly.
I think we can move forward. So,
I'm sorry,
ladies and
court
gentlemen,
stenographer.
good to go. Thank you very much. Very
Oh.
productive.
Well, we still haven't said anything about the establishment of the parking benefits district and starting to set up that enterprise fund so that we'll be able to save toward an eventual parking garage and provide for the maintenance
I
needs.
think I'm for that.
Yes.
What did we were you going to inform us of the percentage? I know you said it'll be some percentage.
Okay.
Yeah, I still need to go back.
You
I
got 4
still need
votes.
to
You
go
got
back and
consensus. You got
work
4.
numbers
The
on all
details
of
have to be
that.
facilitated. Otherwise, the consensus to proceed accordingly has been
You're
made.
having fun over there?
Thank you.
So we got consensus on that. Anything else? Is that it? Okay. We've all got consensus. You've got your marching orders. You know what you have to do. I look forward to paying in the garage, and life will be good. So, thank you. You have a pass?
I have a
Well,
pass. All right.
All the parking passes will still work. All the parking passes are good.
Thank you, Miss.
And I have
You're
one
good to go.
myself. The residential parking pass for the
Yeah, I
garage.
have it.
We still
It's
have that.
fabulous.
I buy mine every year.
We
Okay.
actually had a slide that
Yes,
showed
ma'am.
what all of them are, but I just didn't think I could do that much more damage to you tonight.
Thank
100
you,
years-
Missy. We
100
appreciate
years
you.
ago, when Al Chiquette was up here, he wanted to have all the city commissioners to have a little parking pass, and that didn't go through.
That
So,
tracks.
I mean, remember?
That tracks.
Yeah, that
He was the one asking.
That was Nick's. We all had to pay our resident fee, so there you go.
Heard that name in a while.
Anyway,
Let's move on.
thank you very much for listen. Great work, and I know it was a lot of work, and I know you've been working on it for a long time, but we're going to finally get moving. We're going to finally get some revenues off this, and I think it's a great idea. Okay, now we have nomination for appointment to the Downtown Development Authority Board based on the rotation system. This will be Deputy Vice Mayor Burns. There you go. You have to appoint someone.
I am deferring to a later meeting.
Defer till next meeting, okay. The next regular meeting would be July
15th?
1 week from today, July 15th.
15th, okay. Okay, nomination on the rotation of the Green Implementation System. We have 3 people making appointment. We have Mayor Carney, Commissioner Markert, and Vice Mayor Long. I am going to appoint Vinnie Ardillo, who's currently on the board,
Second.
to stay on the board there. And so I need a,
I gave you the second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Fine.
Ms.
The
Burns
next,
is supporting me.
the next one up is Commissioner Markert.
I would like to appoint Max Zengage.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, he is appointed. The third is going to be Vice Mayor Long.
I will nominate Catherine Toms.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Great. All right, now we have the nomination for the Delray Beach Housing Authority. We have 1 regular member to serve a 4-year term, and that will be made by Vice Mayor Long. And then we're going to have an appointment of a regular member to serve for the unexpired term, and that will be Commissioner Casal. So Vice Mayor Long, you are up.
I will nominate the illustrious Ezra Craig.
Second.
Geez, do I have to vote for Ezra?
Yeah, you
I'm having
will.
breakfast
Yeah,
with
I
him
know.
tomorrow. I mean, I want to be able to have it, say that it was contested and
I mean, this is how I make up for never coming to
the Kiwanis.
to
meeting.
Kiwanis.
No,
yeah.
it's just
Maybe this will get him off my back for a minute.
Okay, all in favor?
Vulgar display
Aye.
of trying to get it
Aye.
noticed.
Call the vote.
Any in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm
Okay.
deferring because Mr. Long took mine. I'm sorry. To
Oh,
the
okay.
15th.
So you were going to defer. So the
yes,
second
I
one of
apologize.
Commissioner Casal is being deferred. Okay.
Yes.
We're now to the portion of public hearings on 8A. This is a second reading. It's going to take us a half an hour to read the ordinance, but if the city attorney would like to read it in an expeditious fashion, that'll be great.
I will do my best. Ordinance number 11-25, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, amending the land development regulations of the City of Delray Beach Code of Ordinance, Chapter 4, Zoning Regulations, Article 4.4, Base Zoning District, Section 4.4.9 General Commercial District, Subsection B, Principal Uses and Structures Permitted to add veterinarian clinics as a principal use, amending Subsection D, Conditional Uses and Structures Allowed to remove veterinary clinics as a conditional use, amending Subsection G, Supplemental Use Regulations to add veterinary clinics as a principal use in the Four Corners Overlay District, amending Section 4.4.11 Neighborhood Commercial District, Subsection B, Principal Uses and Structures Permitted to add veterinary clinics as a principal use, amending Subsection D, Conditional Uses and Structures Allowed to remove veterinary clinics as a conditional use, amending Section 4.4.12 Planned Commercial District, Subsection B, Principal Uses and Structures Permitted to add veterinary clinics as a principal use, amending Section 4.4.13 Central Business District, Subsection C, Allowable Uses, Table 4.4.13A, Allowable Uses and Structures in the CBD Subdistricts to classify veterinary clinics as a principal use, instead of a conditional use, amending Section 4.4.16 Professional and Office District, Subsection B, Principal Uses and Structures Permitted to add veterinary clinics as a principal use, amending Subsection D, Conditional Uses and Structures Allowed to remove veterinary clinics as a conditional use, and by amending Section 4.4.29 Mixed Residential Office and Commercial District, Subsection B, Principal Uses and Structures Permitted to add veterinary clinics as a principal use, amending Subsection E, Conditional Uses and Structures Allowed to remove veterinary clinics as a conditional use, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, authority to codify, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. This is second reading and a public hearing.
Okay, now could you read it backwards for us? Ms. Giannoutis.
Okay, this is a city commission directed amendment to move veterinary clinics from, change them from conditional uses to permitted uses in the districts where they are allowed. This went to the planning board at the February meeting, and it had unanimous 6-0, a recommendation of approval.
Have you had any, if anyone from the public say they don't like this? I mean, just curious.
No, and just for the record, veterinary clinics are heavily regulated by the state in terms of all of the things that we do, and we have brought multiple clinics before the commission, and they have always received approval. So it just seems like an extra step in the process for use that is typically supported by the neighbors and the commission and the city.
Okay. Is there, this is a public hearing. If there's any members of the public who wish to get up and speak on this matter for or against, now is your time to come up. Seeing none, public comment is closed to the commission.
You can start?
Yeah, you can start.
All right. I realize we are rolling into our 6th consecutive hour up here. But
well, Adam's not up here anymore, so I don't shut stuff down.
I know, but I do have a comment. I'll read it real quick, so bear with me. I want to recognize the incredible work of our Parks and Rec staff. I missed it, unfortunately, but I heard the 4th of July celebration was awesome.
Wait a minute.
We're not at comments.
No, we're not there yet. No.
I appreciate saying.
I'm delirious at this point.
You've had your, okay, Commissioner Long's comments is over. He's already.
Can I just leave? Can I go?
Support this.
No,
I'm sorry.
This is to the commission. You can eat.
I'm like.
Okay, I would like to make a motion
Jesus.
to approve ordinance number 11-25.
Would you like to second that, Mr. Long?
I guess so. Yeah. Are we still here?
Okay.
Who's talking?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Anthea. And there are no first
I'm
readings.
just going to last now.
I agree with you. Look at this. We got to have a little levity anyway. So, comments and inquiries on non-agenda items to the city manager.
I yelled at the sound.
Oh, that's a good answer. To the city attorney.
None for me.
Oh, there you go. To the city commission. Mr. Long.
Yes, Mr. Long.
All right, I'm going to jump right back in. I'm just going to jump right back in, guys.
Start over.
So,
You want to make a motion to approve this?
oh, are we still there?
Do we have to make a
Yeah.
motion to approve your comments?
Okay.
After I make them, you can if
There
you
you go.
want. I don't care.
No, I don't care.
Anyway, excellent work to Parks and Rec. Heard the fireworks were great this year. All right, you get it. So, but I wanted to go over some other things that happened that day. As the celebration unfolded, some troubling incidents happened around town. You guys probably heard about, and it showed how challenging and dangerous the conditions that our police officers are, the conditions that they face every day. So, quickly go over some of the things that happened that residents might not know about. Around 7:30, a vehicle forced its way. 7:30 p.m. on the 4th, vehicle forced its way through the crossing arms at the railroad tracks. In the process, the driver snapped the crossing arm, which hit the nearby power lines and shorted out multiple control boxes, creating massive traffic issues across the city. Later that evening, a freight train broke down on the tracks, blocking both Lake Ida and George Bush Boulevard. Our officers stepped in and managed to redirect traffic to prevent an even worse congestion. After the fireworks, someone ignited a mortar-style firework near the main stage, and later again on the beach at pedestrian level, caused the crowd to scatter. It was frankly a miracle that no one was injured. Officers tried to locate the suspect, but conflicting witness reports made it impossible to identify who it was. As the crowd dispersed over the bridge, officers approached a group of juveniles smoking marijuana openly. During the interaction, one juvenile was found to be armed. As the officer attempted to secure the weapon, a struggle ensued. The officer fell and struck his head, and he was hospitalized for 2 days. The following day, another officer was injured during the arrest of suspects involved in a strong arm robbery on Southeast 3rd Avenue, right outside one of our restaurants, and that's not an isolated incident in that particular area. So both officers, by the way, who are injured were thankfully okay, but they are dealing with some serious injuries and physical trauma. So these incidents underscore what we already all know up here. Our officers risk their lives every day to keep us safe. And they're doing it right now with fewer resources and less support than ever before. Since our last meeting, 7 more officers have left Delray Beach Police Department, all for PBSO. That's confirmed. I have their names here. I'm not going to read them since we're short on time. I'm not short on time, but we're all exhausted. That total, though, does bring us to 22 officer vacancies, which is the highest vacancy rate in the department's history. Including our non-deployables, we are operating at under 80% capacity. So this isn't just unsustainable for us, it's dangerous. We're approaching a point where we may have to start having conversations about mutual aid from the Sheriff's Department to maintain public safety in our own city. That option is more expensive and removes control from us. And it would frankly be embarrassing for that to happen. Now, I just want to quickly bring up the special magistrate's report that we just got on Friday regarding the impasse with the PBA, which we all have seen, I'm sure. The magistrate issued a clear and informed recommendation on the central issues. On pensions, he sided with the PBA, recommending an extension of the drop from 5 to 8 years. This aligns with the recommendations of our own CFO and the actuary that we hired. On wages, the magistrate ultimately did side with the city, but he stated clearly, and I quote, "The undersigned does not take issue with the union's assertion that the city's current wages are not competitive with other agencies, nor does he question that recruitment and retention are issues of concern." So he sided with the city only due to budget constraints. And let's be honest, those were self-inflicted constraints which we could address in this year's budget. So for last year, we cut our millage rate, as we've talked about at length this evening, below what staff and our finance professionals recommended. We've deferred maintenance, we've ignored the warning signs, now we're facing this crisis. And I don't think calling it a crisis is hyperbolic at this point. The drop extension, it's not a bonus, it's not a handout, it's a tool. Frankly, the only tool left we have to stop the bleeding right now. This isn't coming from the union, it's not even coming from me, this is coming from an independent, neutral magistrate we all agreed to empower. So rejecting this recommendation without cause is more than a policy decision. It's a message. It's a message to our officers, our residents, and our potential recruits that Delray Beach won't do what's necessary to fix this crisis. We have an executive session on July 17th. We don't need more delays. We can take action then in 9 days. Let's accept the magistrate's finding. Let's approve the 8-year drop extension. And let's have a serious discussion about competitive wages at all levels, frankly, because what we have is only really applies to our starting officers. Let's support the people who risk everything to protect us. We can stop the bleeding here. It's incumbent upon us to do so. So, thank you guys. That's all I got.
Thank you. Commissioner, are you finished?
Yep.
Commissioner Casal?
Long night. I would thank our Assistant City Attorney for joining us this evening. It was a pleasure. Hope you enjoyed yourself. And also our fabulous clerk for always just keeping us going. Ms. Givings, you're amazing, and I really appreciate you. And I will say, in passing in the halls, all your staff really compliments you tremendously. And thank you for making the city a better place. And this was actually an enjoyable evening, and I'm glad it's over. Thank you.
It's not over. I haven't had my comments yet. I only have one comment, but in 46 parts. Go ahead. Commissioner Burns.
Yes. I have a couple things. So the 4th of July celebration was great. Parks and Rec did a great job. I didn't stay for the fireworks. I got bit by mosquitoes so bad I was welting up, so I had to leave. But I was there for the flag raising. But it was a great event, and everybody was enjoying themselves and having fun. I wanted to just say that on the Old School Square, I know that this is part of the plan that's coming up, but I think that we do need to make a plan for this facility. We need to activate this. I think it's one of our largest, if not the largest, revenue maker that we have, and so we need to activate this. So we need to put together some sort of committee plan to construct something that we can get this thing open and operated, and possibly we'll let the committee decide about a nonprofit running it. However, we can get it activated and open and start generating the city some money. Also, last meeting, there was a comment made about after we approved the return of the American Legion Post 188 to the veterans. There was a statement made that the post does not belong to the set. So I just wanted to make a clarification. I want to first clarify that the set is not a person, it's not an organization or a group. It is a historically Black 1,000-acre community deeply woven into the identity of Delray Beach. In fact, in 1935, this very city's council passed resolution number 146-35, officially designating that 993 acres as the Negro area or settlement. Today, we know that area as the set. It is home to more than 20 neighborhood associations and about 12,000 residents at the last census that I checked. From multi-generational families whose deep roots and civic contributions and rich culture have shaped the history and heart of the city. The name The Set emerged from a community-led branding initiative in 2016, an intentional effort to honor the legacy and identity of the area. To say that Post 188 does not belong to the set is to disregard its history, its location, and the role it has played within this community. The post very much does belong to the set. That does not mean it will exclude anyone. Far from it. Once renovations are completed and the doors are open, Post 188 will, as it always has, welcome veterans, neighbors, friends from all over our city. But recognizing where it is rooted matters, because the place matters. That's it.
Great.
Thank you.
Mr. Marker.
Yep. I just want to say to the citizens of Delray Beach, this commission is working on more major projects than I ever would have anticipated. You know, just listening to what we talked about tonight, I mean,
Having second thoughts?
no, but you know, the gentleman got up and talked about the water treatment plant. Well, we're on that. I mean, we're getting bids on that. Hassan is all over that, and it's taking a lot of time. And you know, we got to float a bond. It's complicated, but we're going to get it done. The police union negotiations, you know, that's been difficult, but we're nearing the end of that. You heard about the parking issues that we're facing tonight, and what Missy presented and Anthea. I mean, that's complicated stuff that's going to take a lot of staff time to get done. But the thinking is really good. We've got a golf course that needs renovation. We've had multiple meetings on that. We have a plan to get that done. We've met with the public on that. Our cemetery is out of room, and we've been negotiating for mausoleums to put in there. That won't completely fix the problem because there are religions who prohibit mausoleums, but it's the best we can come up with right now. We recently have taken on schools. We're, as a commission, not happy with the scores in our schools, and we want to work with the county to try to figure out how we can improve those scores. And we need to. You know, people make decisions about coming to Delray all the time. If you're a mom or a dad, you're thinking about it, how's the education going to be for my kids? And we're not where we want to be right now. And then Angela brought up Old School Square, and I'm an advocate for getting that done and open as soon as we can, not only from a revenue standpoint, but I feel like, you know, that got decimated a few years ago, and it's time. It's one of our jewels. So I just want to say to the public, this is all the stuff that this commission's dealing with, and we may not all get along up here at times, but that's good governance, because he may have a better idea than, well, he won't have a better idea than me, but occasionally someone's going to have a better idea than me. And it's incumbent on the commissioners to bring those things up so that we can have a good, honest debate about it, because none of us are always right. So I just want to say to the citizens out there, we're on all these major projects, and they're big and they're chunky, but we're on it. And I feel good about the progress that we're making. I think in the course of the next 3 or 4 months, some of these are going to really move down the road, and you know, we'll be able to have concrete plans and get started on this stuff. And I'm sure I left a few projects out. I'm sure I did. But that was all I could come up with at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Mayor, can I take one more second? Darcy, I'm sorry to thank you and your team. You're here all the time, and because you're behind me, I don't think about you. I apologize profusely. You're amazing, and your team is as well.
Thank you. A couple of things, by the way, you mentioned schools. We do have that coming up, that meeting coming up.
Great.
I'm hoping everybody is reading everything, because it's up to us now to come up with positive recommendations.
Love it.
And while I'm talking about that, next week is also the schedule for us to choose the people for the steering committee for visions. You should have been sent yesterday a list of everybody that's applied. You're not limited to that list, as you know, but you start looking at that list. I'm sorry, I was supposed to be sent out by the city manager.
No, that's actually forthcoming once we publish the agenda, so that should be coming out tomorrow,
Okay,
Madam City
fine.
Clerk.
Okay, okay, so you
Very
should
well.
you should have the list of all of the people that are there. You're not limited to that list, as I said, but we are going to make the decisions next week. So think about who you want to be on the steering committee, and that's an important part. I will say one thing about the American Legion. I worked very hard with Jimmy Witherspoon to work with the lawyer to get everything resolved. And when I mentioned that it doesn't belong to the set, I'm very proud to say that it's a Delray Beach, thing, and that it's going to be part of the fabric of Delray Beach. I'm not undermining at all the importance of it, and the word, the approval of the use. They wanted to use the word colored, and I said absolutely include that in the thing. So I just want you to know my comment was related to this is something that the entire city should be embracing, because it's recognizing the history of the area, but also the contributions of the people that have served that are going to be parts of that American Legion. So that was the purpose of that comment. I thought 4th of July went great. I thought that we had such applause compared to last year, respectfully, with the fireworks display. I think they outdid themselves, and it was absolutely fabulous thing. I think Parks and Rec did a great job. I think the city did a great job. I think we did a great job in trying to get this thing going, and I think that's I'm very happy with it. I do want to ask the city manager a question with respect to and I mentioned that I was going to mention this, with respect to the investigation that was done on the incident that occurred on West Atlantic, and I want to know what recommendations. There was a number of things in there that I'm disagreeing, that my view is different. But do you have any recommendations you're going to have as a result of that incident? For example, we need to address the policy of when police cannot turn off their sound. I think that there were certain, allowing people to sit there together, after an accident is not customary. So I'm just wanting to know whether or not we're going to be addressing any of these procedurally to avoid any potential conflicts.
I'm working with the Office of the Chief of Police to outline better enhancements, best practices, if you will, to address the concerns you've raised, and a brief presentation will be offered during the August 12th regular City Commission meeting in terms of what that will be.
Okay, that's fine. And I do think that we should start considering what we want to do for the 250th anniversary of the country next July 4th. And, people are already starting to plan what they're going to do. I think we should stay ahead of that. I don't know whether we need to appoint a special group to do it, but it is going to be very special. It'll probably include more than fireworks, maybe a parade, I don't know. But, it is going to be a very thing. So working in concert with, the downtown development, with the city, with, the various associations that are involved, we need to really make sure that it's a bang-up job. So I just want to put that on the record. So I don't know how we're going to do that, how we want to arrange it. Maybe that's something that the Visions thing could start identifying as well. So I'm just saying this is something that we need to start thinking about. And finally, I'm just going to address something that you said. I understand the issues that relates to the magistrate's report. I look forward to a very spirited conversation on the 17th of July. I have a different view of an analysis of what he was saying. But I just wanted to point out that officers leaving the Delray Beach Police Department, I don't know whether anybody saw on WPTV 10 days ago, where the city of West Palm Beach lost 16 officers to the county. I've actually called around and found out this is not, everyone wants to say this is endemic to Delray Beach. It obviously is an issue facing Delray Beach, but it's also an issue facing a lot of other municipalities here. So we do need a strategy to try to keep our officers. We do need a strategy to try to, and I don't know what that's going to include, to attract more people to come. And West Palm's doing a signing bonus. They're still not getting anybody. So I don't know the answer, but I think the point's well made that we need to make sure that we have a police force that's happy to be here and is going to work with us to try to make the city the place that we all want it to be. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. I will say that most of the young officers that I spoke to, we're not really thinking about the drop program because they're 2-3 years in and they're looking for salaries. So that's an issue. I'm just saying that's an issue. They weren't leaving because they weren't getting 3 years extra in the drop 25 years down the road. I'm not saying it's not important to people. I'm just saying the salary competitiveness is very important to me. And
I'm pitching both. I think
retaining,
they're not mutually exclusive.
I understand that. Well, we'll have that spirited conversation on the 17th. I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about. So anyway, I don't really have anything else. Is there anything else from anybody here?